claiming 63 out of 110 seats.
Predstoji nam težak rad, predstoji mnogo problema. Kao predsjednik Republike i kao prijatelj svim mojim ljudima mogu da kažem da očekuje nas teško vreme, užasno teško vreme za koje nismo ni krivi ni zaslužni, a tiče se spoljno-političke situacije i bit će samo teže.
But opposition politicians claim there were major irregularities at the polls. Skirmishes were reported in Novi Sad when opposition members tried to enter a hall packed with SNS activists and police moved in to stop them. Opposition officials also claimed that illicit call centers had been set up in some locations to contact supporters and urge them to turn out and vote.
Opet smo imali apsolutnu dominaciju SNS i Aleksandra Vučića u medije. I ovu kampanju obeležila je zapravo zloupotreba medija, lažne vesti, podmetačine, govor mržnje, a posebno u kontekstu rezolucije o genocidu u Srebrenici koji je korišten da se učesnici lokalnih izbora prikažu kao izdajnici i plaćenici i da se o lokalnim temama uopšte ne razgovara.
But the ruling Serbian Progressive Party said their activists' activities were in accordance with the law. Official results are expected to be released later on Monday.
Hundreds of thousands of Portuguese voters voted early for the European elections. Portugal allowed every citizen, not just the traditional early voters made up of the likes of sick people and those abroad, to vote early. Voting day is officially June the 9th, but Portugal let voters exercise their right to vote a week early.
Tanto porque, aliás, Portugal também está na União Europeia, não é? Certo? E por isso damos o nosso voto para contribuir não só por Portugal, mas por toda a União Europeia.
Muito bem.
Estamos na Europa, nós estamos, portanto, temos que estar bem representados. E acho que devemos votar porque não é só cá que é importante estarmos representados, mas na Europa também.
In 2019, Portugal had the worst abstention rate when it came to the European elections. Almost 70% of people failed to vote, the worst rate since they joined the European Union in 1986. This year, Portuguese lawmakers aim to reverse the trend. Iceland elected businesswoman Halla Tómasdóttir as president. The investor topped a field of candidates in which the top three finishers were women. The 55-year-old campaigned as someone who was above party politics. She said she could open discussions on issues like the effect of social media on mental health, tourism in Iceland, and the role of artificial intelligence. Tómasdóttir first rose to prominence in the country during the financial crisis. She will start in the new role on August the 1st.
Thousands of people have protested in Berlin against high rents and forced evictions. They're demanding radical changes to housing policy, including a national rent cap and a ban on arbitrary contract terminations. Over half of Germans live in rented accommodation, with 80% of Berlin's population renting their homes. According to a report released last month by the Berlin Hübbank, rents have increased by more than 18% to almost €14 per square meter. North Korea has said it would stop sending balloons carrying rubbish to South Korea, but promised to resume if anti-regime leaflets are flown over the border. The balloons started on Saturday, carrying rubbish like cigarette butts, paper waste and plastic. Pyongyang said they were in retaliation for a propaganda campaign by North Korean defectors and activists in the south. Seoul blasted the practice as unimaginably petty and promised unendurable countermeasures.
A Chinese spacecraft landed on the far side of the moon to collect rocks in a growing space rivalry with the United States. The mission set out to collect soil and rock samples and is part of a growing extraterrestrial rivalry with the US, Japan, India, and other nations. China is aiming to put a person on the moon before 2030, which would make it the second country after the US to do so. 2024 marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day, but officials decided against hosting the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The upcoming week's events, which will include fireworks shows, parachute jumps, solemn commemorations and ceremonies, will be attended by world leaders. Many see it as a chance to effectively pass the baton of remembrance to the current generations now seeing war again in Europe, in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky, US President Biden and British royals are among the VIPs that France is expected to host for these D-Day events. Organisers confirmed that the Russian president would not be invited to any commemorative events due to the country's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. However, some Russian representatives will be allowed access in order to recognize the country's wartime sacrifice.
Am mai multe alegeri în urmă decât înaintea mea.
Para mí serán las primeras.
En ole koskaan pitänyt demokratiaa itsestäänselvyytenä.
Non lo farò nemmeno io.
Ik heb grote veranderingen in Europa zien beginnen met stemmen.
Ich möchte, dass meine Stimme noch mehr verändert.
C'est ça toute la beauté de la démocratie.
Jde o to, jak se rozhodneme.
Wspólnie.
To choose Grana Padano is to embrace its unique Italian values. A moment to be shared. Grana Padano, an Italian feeling.
This is a new era for Europeans, an era of interconnection, where geopolitics and economy are inseparable.
We can reach our climate targets. All the countries should believe that this is achievable.
Innovation meets disruption, and uncertainty meets never-ending opportunities.
The most brilliant minds in business.
From the Eurozone's diverse economies to its emerging startups.
Station F is the world's biggest startup campus based in central Paris.
Get the latest news and analysis on Europe's economy, business, and markets. See the big picture.
Thanks for being on the show.
Euronews Business.
European elections from 6 to 9 June 2024. Let's vote.
Euronews. The news.
Ukraine imposes emergency power shutdowns in all but 3 regions as Russia continues to target the energy grid.
Ukrainian President Zelensky accused China of helping Russia to disrupt an upcoming peace conference.
Rescue operations continue and thousands of people are evacuated as severe flooding continues in southern Germany. Serbia's ruling party claims victory in Sunday's municipal elections, including a runoff vote in the capital, Belgrade.
Hey yo! Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo!
Ukraine has imposed emergency power shutdowns across most of the country a day after Russia launched large-scale attacks on the energy grid. Shutdowns were in place in all but 3 regions following Saturday's drone and missile attack that injured at least 19 people. Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure in recent weeks have forced the government to institute nationwide rolling blackouts.
If you don't vote, then what gives you the right to protest or be mad about the decision? That's based. That's based. If you are refusing to participate,
spikes in late summer and into winter.
You know how political parties do it? You know how political opposition specifically does it?
Testing Ukrainian defenses in Donetsk in the south and launching incursions in the northern Sumy and Chernihiv.
But you know how they do this thing where they will never have any policies offered?
On Sunday,
that's what we are having with the biggest Croatian opposition parties. They don't have any proper policies offered. They don't offer shit, really. What they offer is bitching about whoever is in power. And then as the power changes, they just bitch about whoever is in power now. Whatever decision the person in power makes, they're going to be complaining about that, right? But that's like the only extent of their policies. I think I see people who don't vote but then bitch about the direction their country is going in very much the same way. Like, it's very easy to just sit at your home and bitch, but you're not doing anything yourself. You're not actually taking part in any activism. You're not taking part in voting, which is like the lowest effort thing you could be doing. At that point, it's like, you just want to be complaining, really. No matter who wins and no matter what they do, you're gonna be complaining about it. So, yeah, I do feel like it should be taking away your audacity. I do see that. Left government? Meloni is right for around 2 years, and the left here is crying after her because she ain't doing no good.
Top defense officials to attend
well, every month her party works to accomplish something, and she has to deal with the left's disasters. Oh yeah, it's like that whenever the party changes. The mistakes of the previous party are always going to be given to the fresh one. We're having a similar thing here. We had a similar thing here because in 2011 I was actually looking into this. I made the first Croatian vatnik soup, by the way. But I was looking into this. In 2011 our power changed, so 2011 was when we got to the left in power after having the right-wingers for a few years. 10 approximately, something. So basically we had right-wingers, we had left-wingers for one term, then we had right-wingers again. And this left-wing term wasn't even that bad, really. It wasn't even that bad. They weren't that horrible. Like, they got us into European Union. They were not bad. But a lot of the mistakes of the previous government was placed on their backs. So then we kicked out to the left. We went right-wing, which we have now, HDZ. HDZ has been in power since 2016, really. And yeah, they're just keeping the power. They're just keeping it. It's all of their previous mistakes are now given to them, which is creating a situation where it's rather easy for the left-wingers to be just constantly bitching from the sidelines, never offering any solution, because they know the right-wingers are going to be holding the power. So yeah.
Extensive cancellations and delays across the network.
Sitting on one says being a drunkard screaming on TV is your loss. That's true. That's true. That's true.
When an apartment building collapsed in Istanbul.
So now leave.
The cause was not immediately
the planet
clear as there were no reports
going
of
to Mars with
explosion
Elon
or
Musk. I
seismic
hope you will
activity.
not.
The incident has renewed fears about the resilience of buildings in a city prone to earthquakes.
Oh man, oh again.
Istanbul lies near the North Anatolian fault line, and an earthquake in the city in 1999 killed at least 80.
I was scared these are the fresh numbers. I was scared these were the fresh numbers. You can't just give me old numbers like that.
At least 14 people have been injured in a lightning strike in the northern Czech town of Liberec.
Where's my Vatnik? Look at my Vatnik soup.
Park in the town
Come on! You know how much I've worked on this shit? And it fared rather well. I've never had this number of impressions on Twitter, alright? I'm feeling like a mild Croatian Twitter celebrity. I'm feeling like a mild celebrity. I never actually posted much on Twitter. I was shit posting, so it makes sense. But still, listen, I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy. I looked into this man a lot. I looked into his history, but his history wasn't even that bad. He looks British. Oh, he looks froggy. My man's looking froggy. He was hot previously. This man was literally getting votes only and solely. We have to talk about Serbia, by the way, but only and solely because he was hot. He was getting votes because he was hot. And then he exited politics 2016 when his party lost the election to right-wingers, went to Albania to work as advisor to Edi Rama, returned to Croatian politics, still was rather hot, won the battle to be the president, went into populism, got frog face. I feel at this point it's like a curse of populism almost, because, you know, Orban is looking very froggy. Trump's looking very the fuck is he looking at? I feel populism just makes you ugly. I feel it just turns you into an ugly person. Because we're not seeing Blanky do that, we're not seeing Kolinda do that, we're just seeing Milanovic do that. It's the populism, just uglifies you.
But opposition politicians claim there were major irregularities.
Most people who think they're ugly are not, they're just fat. Oh, I remember reading a thing on K-pop forums when I was around 13, and it changed my way of viewing this. And someone was commenting on celebrities. No, like to do right. Kinda is, right? Someone was commenting on K-pop celebrities, and they were trying to guess whether one girl had a plastic surgery or not, because her face changed quite a lot. And someone in the comments was like, you know what's the best plastic surgery? Losing weight. Like, she just lost weight. That's what happened. Her face is just looking less bloated because she lost weight. Mexico has its first woman president. Hey, congratulations! Do we know her politics? Do we know her politics? I know nothing about what's going on in Mexico. I was following the elections in Serbia, though. And what I can tell you is that there's a lot of people being pissed off because apparently there's a whole subculture of teenagers who got paid between 2,000 and 5,000 dinars. I don't know how much that is in euros, but it's less than you think, right? Between 2,000 and 5,000 dinars to vote for the ruling SNS party. So people are pissed off because there was a thing with these teenagers not even keeping it a secret. They were like bragging about it. So then everyone was angry and they had some protest in front of the government buildings. Now, if we learned anything from last Serbian elections, this is not going to go anywhere, because last elections it was the same thing. Just people were trying to hide it a little bit better, but you still had things like if you needed a drive to the election booth, like if you live far away, or if you live somewhere like outside of the country and you want to be voting at the place you're registered in, you could get a drive if you voted properly. Like you couldn't just get it. You had to say that you're going to vote for Vucic's party. So yeah, pretty much the same situation. 5,000 dinars. 5,000 dinara u evre. It's 42 euros. The biggest price, it's 42 euros. So, yeah, that's how much it costs, I guess. But do you think they do the British accent at home, or they do it just for show? Oh man, no, they definitely don't do it. Oh, I feel they definitely don't do it. At home, they speak like people do in Texas, but then they go outside and they're like, you have to think I'm better than you.
Over half of Germans live in rented accommodation.
Where's my two?
80%
Whatever
of
the fuck they
Berlin's
do.
population renting their homes. According to a report released last month by the Berlin
Initially,
Food Bank,
Meloni
rents
comes to
have
power,
increased by more than
and the left is like, this
18% to
woman belongs in the kitchen. Oh damn! I did see the I did see the protests against her because she was rather anti-European Union.
North Korea has said it would stop
Which
sending balloons carrying rubbish to South
I saw
Korea,
the
but promised to resume if anti-regime leaflets are
importance of
flown
that.
over
She
the
was rather
border.
anti-European
The
Union.
balloons
She
started
was
on Saturday carrying rubbish like
was
cigarette butts,
something.
paper waste,
Was
and
she
plastic.
the one who had those
Pyongyang
things
said they
about
were in retaliation for a
LGBTQ, or was
propaganda
it some other
campaign by
Italian
North Korean
politician?
defectors and activists
I'm not even
in the
sure.
south. Seoul blasted the
But yeah,
practice
it
as
was mostly
unimaginably petty
anti-European
and
Union
promised
values,
unendurable
which I'm
countermeasures.
not even against. But like recently, I think Meloni is actually, I think Italy specifically, not just Meloni. I think Italy is on the list of countries which are still not allowing still not allowing Ukrainians to strike inside Russia with their weapons. So that's kind of sussy. That's kind of sussy because I feel her strength at the start was this very hawkish support of Ukraine. That's what I supported her for. But yeah, it feels Italy overall went a little bit more of a pussy route recently. I don't know if you've seen the videos of veterans, by the way, traveling. Have you seen them getting off the plane? Man, so heartwarming, so heartwarming. The oldest one I think is like 107 or something. Beautiful, beautiful.
However,
can you make EU take in Serbia so they can send them to their room with But you would have another Orban. Do you really want to have another Orban? Debatable, correct? Debatable. Like, is it better to have Orban in European Union so we can control him, or should we kick him
alle
out?
prossime elezioni europee. Perché? Chi la vota e con quali possibili conseguenze? Ne parliamo su Euronews Witness.
Oh, Euronews Witness, let's go. Wait, I wanted to Google Meloni. Because I'm sure there was something. Or was it the one who's actually like Mussolini's relative, who had some weird things to say about LGBT? Oh, maybe I'm mixing them up. Political positions of Meloni.
But we need a common approach when it comes to trade agreements, when it comes to customs, when it comes to the guidelines of foreign policy.
Opposes abortion, euthanasia, and laws that recognize same-sex marriage. Describes herself as pro-family. Oh, she wants to allow doctors in Italy to do conscientious objection to abortion, which you know is a thing that I am 100% against. I think it's one of the worst things you can do in a country. I despise it. I despise the fact Croatia is allowing it.
It's now, I guess, at 1.3. We are dying out.
Woman goes and says she's against gay marriage, and then she says she would rather not have a gay child, and then later there's an anti-homophobia law being talked about in Italy, and she's like, why? We don't have homophobia in Italy. Lady? Lady, what?
That affect your everyday life.
As 27 countries head to the polls,
You decide who you want to sit in these chairs, or you let others decide for you. Now, you have a choice.
Skeptical of gender ideology, great. Great. Incredible. That's some Republican influence in it. She criticized the Walt Disney Company for the decision to represent a gay couple in the musical fantasy film Frozen 2. Yeah, very Republican. Oh man.
European elections 2024, Sunday the 9th of June.
Ooh, I saved a good video on immigration, by the way. I saw a good video on immigration. Wait, what did I not read? Dutch elections coming up. I don't even know. I could look it up. I don't even know. Wait, let me go look it up. Let me go look it up. This is the first step to just banning abortion? Yeah. No, definitely. 223? No. Oh, let me see. Let me see. Electoral system, contesting parties. Oh, my man. Is this the one that I got? Is this the one that I got? And I was doing the quiz. I think it was this one, right? Because I remember someone making jokes about the number. Vote for these. Vote for these. I got them as a result on my quiz on who I should be voting on. So they seem proper. They seem proper. Doctors should be free to not treat patients. They don't want to. Oh, I fully disagree. I fully disagree. I think as a doctor you shouldn't choose which sort of operations you want to be doing and which you don't want to be doing in your area of expertise. Like if you're going specifically to be a gynecologist, you gotta do the shit, or don't be a gynecologist, be something else. The idea that they could choose treatments that they just care less about, to me that's unacceptable. Like, don't be a fucking doctor at that point. Why would you be able to choose? It's like a nurse going, oh yeah, you know what, I don't want to be changing dirty diapers, I don't really care to change dirty diapers, so I'm objecting to touching human waste. So yeah, someone else has to do it. I ain't doing this part of job. Like, how can you choose to just not do a part of your job? It's your fucking job. If you're unable to do a part of it, you don't want to do a part of it, go seek out another job. But your religion should never be a reason for you to just go, oh yeah, I just don't want to be doing this. Even though it is a part of my job, I don't want to be doing this. I'm fully against that. I think that's bullshit. I think we should have never allowed it, and not only is it bullshit in a way that it makes people not do their own job, which already gets me salty, because like the amount of doctors that you can have employed in a certain area is already quite limited. For example, if that was a racist doctor, bro, I would not give him the job. If he doesn't give a shit about the way he's treating black people, why is he having the position? You know what that creates? That creates a situation that we have currently in continental Croatia. I haven't checked the new numbers, and I suspect they're even worse. In continental Croatia, 5 biggest cities, continental Croatia, around my area, there was one gynecologist doing abortions. Every single other one said they don't want to do them. They just don't want to be doing them. And that creates a situation where if you're a woman in continental Croatia, you have to travel like 300 fucking kilometers to reach a gynecologist that's actually going to do your abortion, because all the positions are taken by pieces of shit who don't want to do them. So no, I would not give them the job in the first place. If you as a doctor dare to even say that you care about specific patients less than you care about the other ones, you should not be having the position of a doctor. They're just hoarding these positions for themselves for nothing. Plus, the worst thing about that is that quite a big number of those who refuse to do abortions because their religion forbids them from doing so, at the same time, they work in a private facility where they will do your abortion for 5 times the price. So yeah, I am fully against it. I am fully against it. Personally, if there was one thing I could be writing a referendum on when it comes to the way Croatian domestic policy is happening, I would be banning that shit. I would ban that shit in a heartbeat. I think it's causing nothing good. Like bullcrap. What makes you think that your own prejudices can make you not do a part of your job? Right? Like if I, in retail, if I went, hey, you know what? In Christianity, on Fridays, we don't eat meat. We just eat fish. So I can't be selling you meat on Fridays. You think I wouldn't get fucking fired in a minute? Bullshit. Just bullshit. It's a bullshit little excuse for shitty people to fuck up the lives of people who try to come and get treatment. So yeah, I'm fully against it. I'm fully against it. I think it shouldn't be allowed for a second. European Commission released quite a good political compass. Is it something that we did, or is it something that we didn't? We don't have the minutes middle-age mentality was America got over abortion. The ones who actually don't want women to abort are few and weird.
At least
I would
14
say
people have been
Melanie
injured
seems
in
to
a
be one of
lightning
them.
strike in the northern Czech town of Liberec.
Okay. Oh yeah. Links are allowed in chat.
It
Links are
happened
allowed
near
in
the
chat.
Castle Park in the town centre on Sunday
They can think it, and they're also afraid to lose their jobs. Yeah, no, I think they
Medics
must
say
lose their
3
jobs.
people were resuscitated
I
on
think
the scene,
the
and
jobs
another
must
was
be lost. I
airlifted
don't
to
think
a
there should be a
hospital in
chance
the
for them to
capital,
continue
Prague.
doing the job if they refuse to do a part of it.
A spokesperson for the local
Like I'm
fire
fully
department said
on
of the
board with just
14
firing
people
them
injured,
on the spot. That's that. It should be illegal. It should be that I go to a gynecologist. He tells me that he doesn't want to do a procedure on me because he is like personally against it. I can go and report him and he loses the job. Oh, Croatia! Oh, you gotta choose the... Ayo. Oh, there's not a translation button. Oh, English. There is. It's in the page itself. Immigrants from outside Europe should be required to accept our culture and values. Oh. Wait, I want to give you the video. I want to still allow you to watch the video on Serb elections in another browser. I mean, Serb elections, they're talking about everything else, but still, you gotta be able to follow the situation while we take 20 fucking hours to solve the quiz, don't we? We're gonna go through this one quickly, okay? I promise. We're gonna go through this one quickly. I'm a really quick quiz solver. It's a surprise to many people, but I'm a very quick, very fast, very efficient quiz solver.
Opposition officials also claimed that illicit call centres had been set up in some locations to contact supporters
I clicked on the wrong
and
type
urge
of
them
browser.
to turn out and vote.
I clicked on window. Here it is, window. See, now they're talking about Serbs, and you can't hear it. Let me cut it. Let me cut my little bit. Let me cut it from the sides and put it down here in the corner so you can look at what's going on.
Hundreds of thousands of Portuguese voters voted early for the European elections. Portugal allowed every citizen, not just the traditional early voters made up of the likes of sick people and those abroad,
DB didn't change the name.
Voting day is officially June the 9th, but Portugal let voters exercise their right to vote a week early.
So, okay, immigrants from outside Europe should be required to accept our culture and values. I'm saying yeah. I'm saying neutral, actually. I don't give a shit. I'm saying neutral. If we have good culture, they're going to... If we take care of our culture, I feel they're going to adapt to it regardless. If we don't, they're going to introduce parts of their own culture. So, yeah, you know, we'll see. I think when it comes to values, I think we're rather good at upkeeping those. So I think we're going to be rather alright. Immigration into Croatia should be made more restrictive. My dude. No one wants to go into Croatia. No one wants to go into Croatia. Like, why would you make it more restrictive? There's maybe 5 people per year who want to come into this country. If you make it more restrictive, we're going to have issues. You can't. Social programs should be maintained even at the cost of higher taxes. I agree with this. Because I'm GG with higher taxes in order to help the country itself.
She will start in the new role on August
country itself. Get more developed. The state should provide stronger financial support to unemployed
workers. Have protested in Berlin against high rents and forced evictions.
I think they're getting a lot.
Radical changes to housing policy, including
would I give them more?
Rent cap and a ban on arbitrary contract terminations. Over
The
half
state
of
should
Germans
provide
live in
stronger
rented
financial support to
accommodation, with
unemployed workers.
80% of Berlin's
Nah, I feel
population
they're
renting
getting
their
a lot.
homes.
There's a lot of
According to a report released last
a
month
lot of
by the
cash money
Berlin
you can be
Mid-Bank,
getting if you're
rents have
fired from
increased
your
by more
job.
than 18%
If
to
you lose your
almost
job,
14
you can
euros per
get, I
square
think it's
meter.
like 3 months of paid non-work time. I feel it's actually alright. And with the fact that you also get like free healthcare, for example, I feel we're doing alright when it comes to unemployed workers being able to still, you know, survive.
Carrying rubbish like cigarette butts, paper waste, and plastic. Pyongyang said they were in
we would need,
retaliation
what we
for
would need. We would
propaganda
need
campaign
a
by North Korean defectors and activists
switch up in the
South.
entire system if we
Seoul
were to
blasted the
do this.
practices unimaginably
I wouldn't be
petty and
against it
promised unendurable
because
countermeasures.
we currently have a thing. Do you have that? You definitely have that. We have a thing. It's Biro, and you go on Biro when you're unemployed. You don't have to be on it, but you can be on it. And if you are on Biro, then they seek out a job for you, and you just apply for jobs that they have sought out for you. Usually they're not offering you the best jobs, let's say it like that. So mostly what you get, if you're a woman, you mostly get waitressing, shit like that. If you're a man, you get construction work. Whatever's open in the area, they give you like a few applications every month, and they're like, hey, you gotta apply to all of these jobs. And then next month you have to prove that you applied for them, and if you get rejected, you just get a bunch of new ones. If you didn't get rejected, you have a job now, so congratulations. But the system isn't really that good. And very often these people who work in Biro will fail to provide you with job offers that they are supposed to give you, so they will tell you to seek them out yourself instead. And then it kind of creates a situation where they just go, oh, did you look for jobs? And you go, yeah. And they go, did you apply? And you go, yeah. And they're like, all right. Because they don't seek out evidence that you did apply, because they have nowhere to store it, because they didn't give you the application. So it's not in their system in the first place, right? I think if this were changed and unemployed people actually had to be applying for jobs like actively, I feel I would be okay with them getting more support because they would be trying harder. But if the system stays the way it is right now, where a lot of people are just, you know, when I was in Biro, I wasn't fucking using it. I would go there every month and I would be like, nah. I didn't get the job, and they would be like, oh, that's very sad, try to apply for a bunch more next month, and I would just always say that I did, and I never did it. If they fix the system, I would be open to giving more support to unemployed workers. So I guess I'm like neutral. Government spending should be reduced in order to lower taxes. I'm gonna say... Do they mean the OG Croatian thing with like, oh, government's buying new cars for their workers regularly and we shouldn't be doing this? Because I do agree with that. I do agree with that. They have very fancy cars sometimes. We only recently got into that branch of populism where we had a mayor of our capital city come into work with a bike, so he wouldn't be having to get a new car.
Your next news bulletin on Euronews is
so if it's something about that, I would be agreeing. If our culture is better, then kinda, yeah, people should be free to associate and dissociate because culture, morality is separate from the law. As long as the law is not broken, people are free to do whenever. That makes sense. Probably means all government spending, man. Bicycles. I support bicycles. I think we need proper bicycle tracks though. I support bicycles. He doesn't look like a Chad. He's looking like this. He doesn't look very chatty, but he does go to work with a bicycle. He looks like the type of person you would expect to be going to work with a bicycle, really. By the way, fun fact. I made the first Croatian vatnik soup yesterday. Congrats, Vicky. Celebrity status. This man's party may be the only party in Croatia that has no links to Russia. Maybe the one and only party in Croatia with no links, and I mean no links to Russia, actually. They are a fresh party though, so that gives them a benefit because they started existing when Russia was already in the process of invading Ukraine.
Donald Trump becomes the first
But hey,
president in US
still
history
a rather
to be found
good thing,
guilty
a
of
rather impressive thing.
crime.
They did start getting a bit more votes on a country level with the last elections too, so that's, you know, we might be able to do something good, hopefully.
Slovakia's Prime
Old
Minister
train
has
lines
been
are great
released
to
from
turn into
hospital
light trucks.
2 weeks after being seriously wounded in a
See, yeah. Yeah, we have that. Oh shit, we could just use that. Oh, that's genius. We should be doing that. We came and playing games with me. It's... Man. We always play at like midnight and I have to wake up in the morning to do work and to do streams.
Former US President Donald Trump
It's
has
work.
been found guilty of
In a
all
different
34
way.
counts
Yeah,
of
Russia has tentacles
falsifying
everywhere. Did you
business
know we
records
have...
in a hush money scheme to influence the results
Did
of
you
the
know
2016 election?
this is the first Croat. This is the first Croat who got sanctioned.
Guilty of felony crimes in America's history.
The first Croat under
He was
sanctions.
accused of concealing a payment made by his lawyer
I had
to
no
former
idea this
adult
man
film
existed
star
until I
Stormy
posted
Daniels
the
to buy
soup
her
yesterday,
silence ahead of the
and then
presidential
people in the
election.
comments taught me about this man.
Speaking
Yeah,
outside the court after the verdicts had been read,
he's
Trump
on the
blasted
fucking list.
trial as a disgrace.
Rosneft, vice president, a Croat, one of ours. Look at him, looking all like that. He is actually close friends with this man, who is close friends with our president. So, yeah. This one was the U.S. Secretary of State in the administration of Donald Trump. He made business deals on behalf of ExxonMobil with Russia. He opposed the sanctions against Russia. And he has been the director of the joint USA-Russia oil company, Exxon Neftegas. Holy shit. But yeah, yeah, and he's really, really close friends with our president. Really, really close friends, my dude. So, yeah. Cool, I guess.
And the law, in doing so,
Trump guilty of all charges. It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Just minutes after Trump was
he's asking his people to give him money. He's still claiming he's a billionaire, but he's asking his people to give him money. Talking about shit that's fucking hilarious. Who saw the Alex Jones clip?
He'll be sentenced on July
Who saw Alex Jones? Because I saw Alex Jones and I was laughing my ass off.
Fine is the more likely outcome.
Fuck. Can I look it up without seeing something not safe for work? I have to show you Alex Jones.
The NATO Secretary General has repeatedly called for easing restrictions on Kyiv as Moscow intensifies its
You've been avoiding Twitter. Smart thing, usually. Smart thing. He's crying because he's had to sold his stupid ranch.
This is a war of aggression. Russia has attacked another country.
Fuck, I feel bad about pausing my man talking about how much Russia
Ukraine
sucks.
has the right.
Take more calls. Go ahead. There's the next person. At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children. Take more calls. Go ahead. There's the next person.
He had to sell his stupid ranch because he was a piece of shit. He was a piece of shit, and he has a lot to pay because of it. So yeah, poor little man, poor little man.
On this occasion,
can't pay the court back. He hasn't paid a dime to the families.
For the delivery of ammunition that
So yeah, overall, remember that clip? Remember that clip of Solovyov after he had to sell his villa in Italy? I think it was Italy. And then he was really pissed off in his TV show. He was really, really angry. Did he sue it or did it get taken by the state? I'm not even sure, but I know he lost it. He was pissed off. Reminds me of that. It reminds me of that. Like, look at this piece of shit crying because of the consequences of their own stupidity.
In the rubble of the refugee camp after the Israeli military withdrew from
She
the
cries
area
around
following
the
a
breast.
3-week operation. Gaza's largest refugee camp, once home to more than 100,000
I wanted
people,
to
has been
solve the
all but
quiz.
destroyed
Taxation, the
in an
wealthiest part of the
IDF
population
mission
should
to
be increased.
eliminate
Agree.
Hamas positions.
Who's are? I don't care
The
who are
health
wealthy.
ministry in
I have
Gaza
no
says
compassion for
53
wealthy people.
Palestinians were killed and
I feel if you are rich,
357
you
others
should be
wounded in
taxed
fighting
more
across
than
the
you are
strip
taxed.
in the past 24
And I feel this
hours.
is true no matter how no matter which country it is. Like, you should be taxed more.
Aid was airdropped into Gaza.
Retirement age should be raised. Are you fucking insane? No, what we should be doing is introducing more foreign workers to the mix, so we have more people in the workforce, so the pension system is made more sustainable by that. I wouldn't raise the retirement age. I feel it's already rather high. It's like 65. So yeah, I wouldn't really make it even higher. No.
But the Biden administration
Russia going around countries pressuring them not to attend the peace summit and only support the Russian-Chinese peace deal. Oh shit, yeah. China, Saudi Arabia not attending alongside Russia, of course. It's incredible. Look, a lot of countries are attending though. A lot of countries are attending. And I feel as long as countries which are attending are countries that are sending Ukraine weapons and allowing Ukraine to strike inside Russia, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're on a good track, alright? We need to fuck them in the ass. Biden's not... Wait, are we having someone from USA? How does that go? I haven't looked into that. I just assumed USA would be around.
The UN estimated around 900,000 people have fled the city since the start of Israel's limited military operation.
I'm a nice little person. No one has reason to attack me.
Slovakia's Prime Minister has been released from hospital 2 weeks after being seriously wounded in a shooting. Fico was airlifted to the country's capital, Bratislava, where he is now receiving
State should intervene directly to control the rising prices of basic commodities. I agree with this because the state did. The state did intervene directly, and it was alright. It was alright. So we had several things in the shop that were the price of them was limited, like state limited, because of the inflation we had recently. And it was good actually, it was rather good. It kind of made the prices of all the other products stay in that acceptable area, otherwise no one would be buying them. And it was important shit. It was shit like milk, it was sugar, I think it was flour. What else was it? It was some juices, it was pads for period, stuff like that. So it was like useful stuff. But it was, oh yeah, some shampoos and stuff like that. The price was like controlled by the state, so it wouldn't get any higher. And I thought that was actually quite alright. So I would say, yeah, it was useful at the time. Hey yo, how's Albania doing? Hello. How's life there? How's everything? Vegetable and fruit juices are taxed. Ooh. I support heavier taxes against unhealthy shit though. But vegetable and fruit juices? I'm not sure that makes sense. Vegetable and fruit juices? Because I'm always under the impression, yeah, you should be raising taxes on shit you don't want people to do, and you should be lowering taxes on shit you do want people to do, right? So, for example, making taxes higher on cigarettes, I will always support it, but making taxes higher on vegetable juices, that seems like a stupid decision. Wild animal suffering in European Union? If it's in European Union, I would be interested, yeah. Oh, Lake Ohrid, nice! Hey, nice! I hope you'll have a great time. It's an expansion of soda. Fruit juices make people unhealthy. Yeah, sure.
Política que está teniendo el género como un elemento articulador de los conflictos que anteriormente se podían dirimir en torno a otras variables.
What's the way to like raise taxes on unhealthy ones while keeping the taxes on other ones? Does that make sense? Like what would be a way to draw a line between juices that you want the taxes to be raised on because they're unhealthy and the juices that you want? Maybe there would need to be like a certain percentage of actual fruit juice in it and only a certain percentage of sugar or additives added, sweeteners added, in order for it to qualify to not be taxed more? Maybe that.
L'estrema destra sta crescendo in tutta
European Union
Europa
should
e ha le
strengthen the
carte per
regulation of
scombinare gli
artificial
equilibri
intelligence
politici
technology,
anche
even if
alle
this
prossime
means slowing
elezioni
down
europee.
innovation.
Perché? Chi la vota e con quali possibili
Strengthen the regulation
conseguenze?
of
Ne
artificial
parliamo su
intelligence
Euronews
technology.
Witness.
I guess? But also, AI has been used for some good shit, hasn't it? Hey, Sad Sword, thank you for subbing. Thank you, 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 thank you. I want to say yeah. I want to say I like regulation. Oh shit, wait.
We need more power to the nation states. We need less competences in Brussels, but we need a common approach when it comes to trade.
Wait, evolution of life unfolding on exoplanets or any of it doesn't solve systemized moves morally is a big deal. It can unfold in very different ways. The window between best and worst versions. Okay, any near future microbial contamination of planets, at most will lead to an abysmal version.
What do you think about the theory of the great replacement?
Quintillions at any time for billions of years. Okay, I see that.
Fertility rate
even by current risk assessments, response measured or as standards applied in other cases, humanity must at the very least have discipline and hold itself back for many years from risking interplanetary and interstellar forward contamination. And so spaceports must be locked down. Wait, but are we at danger anytime soon of contaminating other planets? Is that an actual danger that we're dealing with?
I want to tell you. It's important. It's about something invisible that truly touches all.
Because I'm under the impression we ain't going to any other planet anytime soon.
Quite often,
I'm under the impression we ain't doing that.
Or only when it disappears.
Okay, sending.
When it's too late. It's a very unique place. A place where everyone is welcome, no matter the team you support.
Professor Claudius Gross wants to play about kickstarting evolution on exoplanets with the Genesis project very responsibly. But isn't that a thing like... Isn't that a thing like, yeah, he wants to do it, but he ain't doing it anytime soon? Isn't that like people, you know, when people were discussing like the morality, not morality, but also the questions arising after like Elon Musk gets us to Mars. And then there were the questions of like, hey, what if the rich ones go to Mars and then they will not give a shit about saving the Earth anymore? What are we going to do in that scenario? Which turns out is a scenario we don't even have to be thinking about for at least a few decades more.
It's a precious place. It's called democracy.
Like, is it a thing that's going on currently? I wonder if it's a thing that's going on currently. I mean, it would be smart to introduce regulation about it anyways, sure. But like, I don't think it's anything that we will be having to deal with in the near future. There's no electricity plate. Yeah, how are you watching? How are you watching? Your generators?
Looking for trustworthy climate coverage? Sign up for our green newsletter. Get eco news and
my
green
phone's
reviews
ringing.
delivered straight to your
Give me a sec.
inbox. Sign up today on euronews.com/newsletters.
Euronews. The news.
Got no meds.
Donald Trump becomes the first former president in US history to be found guilty of a felony crime.
Yeah, we're not even going to the moon. Yeah. Not moon, and then not even Mars. And we were supposed to go to Mars.
Former US President Donald Trump has
Thinking
been
about
found
the billions
guilty
of
of
years
all
of evolution
34
and whether we
counts
can
of
affect it,
falsifying
and if
business
so, to
records
what
in a
degree is
hush
probably
money scheme
something
to
we need some good
influence the result
philosophical
of the
sci-fi books
2016
about. That's
election.
true. That's true.
He's the first ever former president to be found guilty of felony crimes in America's history.
There's a chance we will fill the hole with debris enough to stop us from new launches. No! Oh shit, I've seen that. I've seen the graphics on that. Oh no! I'm kinda hoping that we're going to figure out a way to clean it up. Because we did pollute polluted a lot. Holy shit. We fucked it up. We fucked that shit up. That's true.
I'm fighting for our country. I'm
The
fighting
backup battery? Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
Our whole country is being rigged right now. This
Man,
was done
though.
by the Biden
Oh,
administration.
look at this little piece of shit.
In order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent.
But the Manhattan District Attorney said the only voice that matters is the voice of the jury.
While this defendant may be unlike
Well,
any other
confused.
in American history,
Now that I'm reading the messages, I got confused again. It says, the window between best and worst versions in terms of well-being or suffering to come from it surely is astronomically gigantic. I'm not sure what you're referring to here. You're talking about evolution unfolding in exoplanets, and then you're like, evolution can happen in best and worst versions in terms of well-being or suffering.
This trial is just one of 6 cases, 4 criminal and 2 civil, that Trump is currently facing.
But bearing the idea that it could be like human-induced suffering,
legal experts say a fine is the more likely
I'm not
outcome.
really sure. Like, are you referring to the fact that some animals will just evolve in an environment that is not
Germany's
suitable
Defense
for
Minister
them?
Boris Pistorius has announced a 500
No,
million
they will
euro
evolve in an
military support
environment
package
in a
for
way that
Ukraine.
makes them not suitable to surviving for a long time here. So is that the suffering that we are talking about? Because I'm assuming we're not talking about humans actually like trying to get these animals to evolve in a specific way so we could use them, which I would see as a problematic possibility of suffering induced by evolution. But I'm not entirely sure what is like best worst versions of evolution when it comes to well-being or suffering in that way, because then it goes to any new future microbial contamination of planets at most will lead to an abysmal version, in likely negative. Why? But then it goes, according to evolutionary biologists, wild animals mainly suffer on average.
Zelensky said that new agreements with partners on air defenses and drone production are on the horizon.
So what are we saying even? Like we should make it absolutely certain, not even when it comes to like projects being created, but are we saying that we shouldn't even be sending research equipment on other planets because there might be a tiny chance of us contaminating the planet and then creating a life form? And then this life form is gonna undergo evolution, and then because most wild animals suffer, this life form is also going to suffer. So we shouldn't be sending anything to planets in the first place.
Palestinians in Jabalia have been searching for their belongings in the rubble of the refugee camp after the
Castle
Israeli
syndrome is a
military
decent theory,
withdrew from
and
the
Russia
area
China gives
following
zero fucks about low Earth orbit lately. Oh shit, that too.
Gaza's largest refugee camp, once home to more than
Sanitizing Mars
100,000
probes, yeah, that makes
people,
sense
has
because
been
they would,
all but
otherwise they would
destroyed
like
in an
pick up
IDF
shit from
mission to
themselves, right?
eliminate Hamas
They would be
position.
like, oh look, I found human
Health
skin
Ministry in
cells on
Gaza says
Mars,
53
and everyone would be like,
Palestinians were
whoa,
killed
how?
and
And it turns out we
357
just didn't
others
clean it
wounded in
properly.
fighting across the strip in the past 24
So it
hours.
makes sense that they're being sanitized, but like that's the
Aid
only
was
way
airdropped
I'm
into
actually
Gaza
understanding
again on
this, that
Thursday,
like
with people rushing to landing
in a way
areas
that
to try to
matters,
access food and other
because we're only
supplies.
sending research equipment
At a press
to
conference in New York, the UN Secretary General spokesperson gave a
interplanetary
grim
and
assessment of the
interstellar space right now, right? Like
humanitarian
no
situation
one's
in the
sending actual people.
Intensifying hostilities and severe access
So it has to be about research equipment?
to impede aid
Because what else would it be?
Gaza at a time where hundreds of
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I'm not entirely sure if it's a problem that I think I would be caring too much about. But also I would do wonder about the idea that evolutionary biologists agree that wild animals suffer on average.
We've been clear about what this isn't, which is not.
We should just build giant rockets and push the Earth into the sun to stop suffering that too. Because you know what else it reminds me of? You know what else I'm reminded of? You know the theories that life on Earth got kick-started because we got like a meteor or something that had in it materials needed to build amino acids. Like, even if we didn't have that shit on our planet, we got it from interstellar space, and that is how we got the amino acids, and then that is how we got proteins. Have you ever looked into that experiment? What's the experiment name? Has Meyer in it. The one that looked into the atmosphere of young Earth and then tried to figure out how the building blocks of life could be coming from the young Earth atmosphere, and it figured out that actually amino acids could be found from it, and amino acids are what builds proteins, and proteins are what build cells, and cells are what builds life. So, yeah, very much a possibility that we just got it from like interstellar space, definitely, because young Earth did have it, but we're not entirely sure where young Earth got it from. We just know it did have it. So it's like, it's gonna get kick-started anyways,
the attack comes against the backdrop of an
because this shit is in the universe already.
With multiple protests taking place,
so I'm not sure how much I would really care about us sending research equipment or something like that and possibly impacting life on another planet. But I would be against humans trying to like engineer evolution on other planets, definitely.
If he is convicted.
All this global warming makes you wish for a nuclear winter. It does. It does. It does. Sometimes you're like, man, I just wish. I just wish. You know? Reminds me of Andrew posting on Twitter yesterday. He was like, hey, people promised us that when we start hitting Russia with Western weapons, there's gonna be a nuclear war. Where is it? Where is it? I wanted to be resting a little bit. I wanted to be resting. Where is our nuclear warfare? I was promised a nuclear war. Boom, boom. That's that. You know, you're either alive or you're not. Why is it not around? So yeah, actually, yeah. Panspermia, yeah, true, panspermia. The idea that like the universe is filled with building blocks of life, and in some places they're just found in amounts that make it actually possible for life to be created. That, yeah.
While young women increasingly choose left-wing options, their
Wait, where I was?
counterparts are leading more towards the
European Union should protect European farmers from external competition, even if this leads to higher food prices.
El feminismo radical supone mucho más que eso, más bien la satanización de la figura del hombre o
I wanna say yeah.
Ha hecho que muchos jóvenes se replanteen sus posturas y hayan optado por esta opción como bien.
I wanna say yeah because I do think we should be focusing on buying from our farmers and not getting stuff from the outside. I do want to say yeah to this. Like, we're getting a lot of shit. I don't know if you ever looked at. Next time you go to a store, check out when you look at fruits and vegetables and shit like that. Check out those little cards next to it, alright? Because, for example, we're getting a lot of shit from USA that we don't need to get from USA. We just get it from USA. We were getting, for a long time, we were getting fucking potatoes from like, which country was it? It was not European Union, I can't even remember, but I remember it was potatoes, it was onions, and it was garlic specifically. You know where we're getting garlic from? China. We get garlic from China. We don't need to get garlic from China. It's not like garlic doesn't grow in the fields of Croatia. It does. We're just getting Chinese garlic for some reason. So I would say that I agree, because I want us to stop doing this bullshit, and I think we should be giving more incentives to farmers to start growing their own crops, actually. Like, if there's a demand for more garlic to be sold in markets, just offer farmers more cash money to be growing fucking garlic. Why are we getting it from China? We don't need it from China. We don't need that shit from China. So yeah, that. We do get a lot of shit from Ukraine though. I support that. I support that. I support allies of European Union giving us shit. We're getting those.
More than
we got a new shipment recently. Pumpkin seeds. We're getting pumpkin seeds, and we're getting the other thing, and I can't remember the English word for it.
A dramatic spike in rental costs and local.
I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna remember it. We get pistachio though from USA for some reason too.
Costs €1,500 a month, which is
Netherlands. Oh, we're getting a lot of stuff from Netherlands. That's actually cool. We are getting quite a lot of stuff from Netherlands. We're getting stuff from Serbia too. I support getting stuff from Serbia. Yeah, oh shit, we had stuff from Turkey too. Oh, we had stuff from Turkey too. Yeah. I don't know why it is like that. I don't know why it is like that, but I'm gonna say yes to this because I do think. I think we should be protecting our farmers from external competition, but I think that we should be encouraging our farmers, more of our people, to go into farming themselves, especially in certain areas where it could really help. And the industry itself is rather suffering in some countries because it's not getting subsidized enough. So I think it should be subsidized more, and I think specific crops should be more subsidized, so more farmers want to be growing them, so we can have a proper, proper way to balance the market.
Says the eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula the 5th since December is
pumpkin
the most
pie filling in most stores. It's mostly butternut squash and some pumpkin. Some pumpkin. Like a part of it is pumpkin.
The town of Grindavik is again subject to an evacuation order for the handful of people
should
who
increase
returned to
military
their homes after
spending.
an eruption.
I think we should increase it, and then I think we should give a lot of it to Ukraine. So I agree with this, because like if Ukraine falls, we're fucked in the ass. Promotion of public transport should be fostered through green taxes, like road taxing. Yes. Yes. Renewable sources of energy should be supported, even if this means higher energy cost. Yes. As planned in the European Green Deal, there should be a Europe-wide ban on selling internal combustion engine vehicles by 2035. The plan was to sell new ones. The plan was that new ones aren't going to be able to be sold. And I actually support this. I supported this deal. I think it's an alright one. And I'm a big supporter of like proper steps taken to progress, you know? I don't like the bullshit about like, yeah, we're gonna be lowering it slowly and then we'll see how long it takes for us to ban this thing. No. I support the idea of like 2035 is a cutoff. That's that. After 2035, you can't buy the shit anymore. So figure it out for yourself. I support that, and I think that is the only way actually to be reaching progress when it comes to this question. Because it's really fucking hard to get the majority of population on board with saving the climate. It's really fucking hard. So I feel we shouldn't be asked. I feel we should not be asked in the first place. I feel we should just be pushed into it. You know what I wonder about in USA? Those pumpkin pie lattes.
In under 2 minutes.
I wonder what that is. I've never tried that. We don't have that. I was seeking them out in stores last autumn, and we didn't have it. We didn't have it in offer anywhere. You know how much I'm interested in that shit? Like, does it actually taste good? Why is it such a meme? Does it actually taste good? I don't know. I've never had. We don't have Starbucks. We have Starbucks in the capital. I'm not driving 350 kilometers to buy some overpriced coffee. But if I ever go there for other occasion, I'm gonna get Starbucks in a heartbeat. I'm so interested in that pumpkin spice thing. I'm very interested. I'm just jealous of Americans, kinda. You guys have really cool shit. I'm jealous of you. Killer satellites in orbit. Anti-space weapon. In the event of war, orbital collision could send millions of high-velocity pieces of plastic and metal flying, increasing the risk that the satellites we depend on for communication. Burn up the whole country. Burn up the whole... I feel Ukraine should be allowed to hit everything from Russia that goes into outer space. I feel we should just be allowed to do that. Like, oh, you're sending something outside, I'm allowed to shoot it down, and I'm allowed to shoot the facility that you use to send it down to. I'm just allowed to shoot at you. Fuck you. You can just make it out of regular spices? Pumpkin spices? What pumpkin? I feel I don't even have that much pumpkin shit to be buying. So it's having nuclear reactors in every house. With alternative cars, it will be European Union reality. Now we're gonna be good. We're gonna be... Oh shit, you remember that car that like was powering itself by burning firewood. We looked at it on stream once. It was a car and it has like a whole thing in the back where you put firewood and you burn it, and then from this burning it gets energy and it drives. Are we gonna be having that in European Union? We're gonna have that.
President in US history to be found guilty of a
European
felony
Union should
crime.
rigorously punish member states that violate the deficit rules. And rigorously, I feel we're doing alright with that.
Former US President Donald Trump
They're doing their
has been
best.
found
Leave them
guilty
alone.
of all 34 counts of falsifying
Acquire
business
its own
records in a hush
tax-raising
money scheme
powers.
to influence the result of the 2016 election.
Yeah.
He's the first ever former president to be
I'm a
found guilty
federalist,
of
I'm okay with
felony
that.
crimes in America's
Single European
history.
currency, euro, is a bad thing. I completely
accused of
disagree.
concealing a payment
I
made by
completely
his
disagree.
lawyer to
I love
former
euros.
adult
I
film star
adore
Stormy
euros.
Daniels
You know how
to
much
buy
I
her
love it
silence
when we
ahead
got
of the
euros around
presidential
from like
election.
different countries. We got one
Speaking
recently
outside the court
from
after
Malta.
the verdicts had been read, Trump blasted the
Man.
trial as a disgrace.
Man, we got some from Moldova. I've actually saved a bunch. I saved a bunch of euros for my brother, so when he is going to be coming to the country, I have some euros to give to him. There are euros that he doesn't have yet. Let me show you this shit, my dude. Let me show you this shit, alright? I don't even know. I wanted to read you a few of them, but I don't even know what they are.
The voice of the jury.
Got no idea. There's some some shit.
While this
I know there's some Frenchy one with a rating. There's some Saarland one. There's some fancy one that looks almost like a Picasso painting. I'm pretty sure one of them is having something to do with Picasso. I love these shits. I love these little shits, alright? So I support euros, actually. I support euros fully, 100%. I think they're the best thing ever, and I think we all should be having euros. And also I love it when tourists come around and they can just pay in euros and we don't have to use like money changers. I support that, I support that.
Four criminal and 2 civil that Trump is currently facing. He'll be sentenced on July the 11th and could face a prison sentence,
policy
although
issues,
legal
European Union
experts
should
say a
speak with
fine
one
is
voice.
the more likely outcome.
You know what worries me about that?
Germany
You know what worries me about that? If we introduce the rule that European Union must speak with one voice, I'm scared that we're going to have issues like, for example, the Russian invasion on Ukraine, where you're going to have states with good positions, and you're going to have states that are eating shit.
Russia has attacked another country,
and in effort
violated in
to
international
speak
law,
with one
invaded
voice,
Ukraine,
we
and
will
Ukraine has the right for
take the middle
self-defense,
position.
And that includes also the right to strike.
And I disagree with that.
Military,
I don't think we should be
targets
taking the
inside,
middle position. I think we should take the best position in the current situation. It is being very hawkish. And I think if France wants to be very hawkish against Russia, and if France wants to fuck them in the ass with everything they have, I think they should be allowed to say that rather than, you know, trying to figure out what's the European Union average that is always going to be pulled down by likes as Orban. So, I don't know actually. I don't know actually. I want to say I tend to disagree. I feel it would make, we are already slow. I feel this would make us even slower. You know what I mean? We already are slow in responding to some shit. I feel this would make us go through even more bureaucracy to be even slower on the thing. So I don't know. But it's mostly because I fear what sort of power people like Orban would be having in that sort of scenario. Asylum seekers should be distributed proportionally among European Union member states through a mandatory relocation system. I agree with this. I think the south of Europe is getting a lot of immigrants recently, while the other countries kind of just chilling. I would be absolutely perfectly fine with each country getting an amount designated to them. You can't opt out. This is how many asylum seekers you will be having to hold in your country. European Union does have to help you with funding the places for them to stay and shit like that, but this is how many you got. So
was airdropped into Gaza again on Thursday, with
gotta do your
people
part.
rushing to landing areas to try to access
Strengthen security and
other
defense
supplies.
policy. Agree.
At a press conference in New
Take
York,
responsibility in
the UN
patrolling its
spokesperson gave a
borders.
grim
Is
assessment
it
of
not
the humanitarian
already?
situation in the Strip.
Oh, like, so it's not member states patrolling it, it's actual European Union.
Continue to impede aid operations in
I can.
Gaza are
All right.
hundreds of thousands
European integration is a good thing. Yes.
aid.
But the Biden
Individual member
administration
states should have less
insists that
veto
Israel's
power,
military action
definitely.
in Rafah is not the major
European
operation
Union should
officials
sanction
have been
member states whose
threatening for
governments
weeks.
undermine the rule of law. Yes.
We have been clear about what
Continue.
this isn't.
Yes.
It's not a major military operation. I'm not going to
Yes.
categorize it into one box.
Legalization of same-sex marriages is a good thing. Yeah, it is.
We're going to continue to consult.
Legalization of the personal use of soft drugs is to be welcomed. All right. Access to abortion should become more restricted. Fuck off.
In search of safer areas
Gender
elsewhere in
quotas
the
bullshit.
enclave.
Kaya Kallas was not selected as the next head of NATO because she was a woman, too hawkish from Estonia, too outspoken towards Russia. Yeah, it's I fear something like that would be happening in European Union too, you know, where they will be like, hey, we want an average policy.
Limited military operation.
So you can't get to the position if you're too loud inside the mass. I feel that should not be allowed. I feel that we should be allowing folks. To be fair though, a problem with that is also that, you know, if you tolerate people going outside of the norm in a more hawkish way, you also have to tolerate people going outside of the norm in a more pussy way, which is what Orban is doing. And I'm not entirely sure how you would differentiate between the two, but I do want to punish Orban. I want him to be punished. I want him to feel it. Have you seen the protests Hungary has had recently? They had huge protests for Orban, in support of Orban, in support of his party. And they were also protesting to demand
we need more power to the nation states. We need
to demand peace in the Russian invasion on Ukraine. Of course, peace by not giving Ukraine anything, basically. That was the idea. But yeah,
to the guidelines of foreign policy.
I want to punish the entire country. Minimum share of positions to be filled by women are to be welcomed. I can't actually agree with this. I think it's bullshit. Not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of it. I do think you should be able to.
What do you think about this theory of the great
I do think you should be able to report cases of discrimination in the workplace much more easily, and I do think when it comes to job seeking, you also should be able to report it much more easily than you are. I don't know how it works in every specific European Union member state. Here it's a system. There's a system. It's quite messy at some parts, but it's alright in some other parts. So it's like 50-50 really. We had a situation in the country recently where a man applied to work as a waiter. The job position, because it legally has to, the job position said that it's looking for male and female waiters. But then he applied and they were like, oh no, you actually can't get the job because you're a man. You're a cook. I'm sorry, you can't be working in this position. So I think something like that should be easier to be reported, but I don't really feel too happy about gender quotas being introduced.
Soufiane El Amrani was able to vote in elections.
Oh, that's that. Nice, look at it, actually sounding.
Legal guardianship, he lost his
Imagine
right.
Ukraine and France bringing democracy instead of USA. Yeah, like, yeah.
Soufiane, there needs to be a change in the authorities'
What's
mentality.
important to you? Not all statements might be of equal importance.
That they'll make the wrong choices.
Oh, all right. Where did we have?
We'll be labeled with a, like
this was important.
We'll be labeled something like, oh, he doesn't know how to
this
vote,
was
he needs help.
important. This
but it's
was
our right
important.
to stand up for our rights and make sure that we're heard.
This
and
was
our
important to me.
Are taken into account.
The situation is not the same across the EU. In
Defense
15
was
member
important
states,
to me.
intellectually disabled people have full rights.
This.
But in 7 EU countries, including
military
Soufiane's own
spending,
Belgium, intellectually
I'm
disabled
half-half.
people under guardianship have limited voting
I
rights.
am
In 4
half-half.
EU countries, Estonia, Bulgaria, Poland and Cyprus, they have no right at
Hawkish
all. According
against
to a
aggression,
recent
invasion,
report
occupation
from
is
the
not
European
hawkish.
Union Agency for
Being
Fundamental
not hawkish, we don't want to join Russia, give them Ukrainian land. Let's look away at thousands of war crimes too. Yeah, actually now that you say it like that, it is kind of weird that the position that we are taking as a neutral position is a position that's actually cheering for war crimes.
Give the right to vote to everyone.
Now that you write it like that, yeah, like why is that a neutral position? That is not a neutral position.
Decision making, so people
That's a pro-genocide position.
Trusts,
Like you're actually supporting imperialism, you're supporting fascism. That is not a neutral position at all. The fact it's being seen as a neutral position now seems rather ridiculous. And then hawkish is like an extreme, when really that should be the neutral one. In any job that requires interaction with clients, women are more agreeable and appealing. I actually fully disagree with them being more agreeable, just based on the sex differences. I think that pushing women though and only allowing women into these positions is what is creating this societal idea of what is a man versus what is a woman, therefore pushing people more into gender roles. So yeah, I'm feeling that you shouldn't be allowed to only pick women to work in your, for example, I don't know, at your reception at the hotel. I think you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think that you should be having to allow both men and women into the position, and then if you get a person into the position who is not really good at working with customers, you should be firing them and getting someone else there, but you should always get the person who is the most qualified for the position, and I think that the qualifications in no way should be having anything to do with their gender. Like it just reinforces the idea, because you keep hiring women at positions where they have to interact with customers. So more women you keep on hiring at these positions, more you keep this idea in society that women are just naturally better at dealing with customers, as if we're like we evolved to be working at receptions. You just reinforce it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. So I definitely think that should not be allowed. Also, no, I don't think that because it's your business you can hire who you want. I fully disagree with that. I do absolutely think there should be state regulation when it comes to cases of discrimination, when it comes to who you're hiring at your workplace. So you should not be allowed to discriminate based on gender. You should not be allowed to discriminate based on race. You should not be allowed to discriminate based on ethnicity. You should just not be allowed to have any sort of discrimination like that. You should not be allowed to discriminate because of someone's sexuality or whatever. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm fully against that. Sometimes waiters and other positions may want pretty girl to look better for clients. Yeah, I also disagree with that. I fully disagree with that. I fully disagree with allowing that in the first place. I was a person who worked as a waitress in one of the places where they would hire specifically young women to look pretty for the clients. And I can tell you that in a heartbeat, I would close down every single coffee shop like that. In a heartbeat, I would close them down. Genuinely, I would write fucking petitions to close them down. I think it's a ridiculous way of not just discriminating against people who are also more than able to do the job, but also I think it's specifically a way to seek out employers that you can be exploiting through your business practice. So yeah, I wouldn't allow it in a second. No discrimination based on gender, race, disabled, marriage status, military status, religion, or sexual preference. Yeah, like that. No, genuinely, I would ban all of it. I would ban all of it. I think you shouldn't be allowed to pick based on any of that. Really, if a person is able to do the job, you should be having a set of requirements the person has to fulfill in order to be able to do the job, right? So I don't know, if they're gonna be working with tourists, for example, there's always a number of languages that they must be knowing, shit like that. You should be allowed to have a set of requirements, but then you shouldn't be allowed to say, oh, hey, there's this dude who fills the requirements, and then there's this woman who doesn't feel them as much, but I'm gonna pick the woman because she's pretty for the customers. I fully would not understand with that. Wait, I didn't solve my quiz to the end.
Policisté napadli demonstranty to byl ten moment, kdy začala ta revoluce, takzvaná.
Yeah, actually, I feel like I just care about these. I just care about these, and that's gonna be that. Who decides if it's discrimination or simply choosing what fits the position? Am I gonna discriminate against 55-kilogram no muscle man if I want someone to work in my farm? No, see, that's a proper requirement. I want a person who's physically strong. That's a proper requirement. Requirements, physical strength. So when someone comes to do the job, you're like, hey, can you lift this shit? You gotta be able to lift the shit. But you're not allowed to be like, oh, you're a woman, you can lift this, but you're a woman, you can't get a job anyways. That's the point. That's how you decide if it's discrimination or not. If you need someone who has physical strength to do the job, your requirement for the job position is physical strength because it is something actually needed to do the job properly. It's not needed that a person has cock and balls. It's needed that they can lift a specific amount. So then, when a person comes to try and get the job position, you try to get them to lift. Are they able to be lifting? You maybe give them, I don't know, you give them 2 days of testing. And that's that. You give them 2 days to be working at your farm, for example, to see if they can be lifting stuff on a regular basis. Are they able to lift stuff on a regular basis? They fulfill the requirements. That's that. You shouldn't be able to pick based on their gender.
The headlines.
Oh yeah, I think you shouldn't be allowed to.
Ukraine imposes emergency
I feel you shouldn't be allowed
shutdowns
to
in all
choose
but
a
3
person who is
regions as
physically
Russia
attractive
continues
specifically.
to target the energy grid.
I fully would be against that. I feel you should not be allowed to choose to specifically only pick people who are physically attractive for your job. Yeah. There's a reason very few women work construction. Yeah, because a lot of them can't do it, right? But the thing isn't that you have to hire a woman in construction, right? The thing is that when you are writing the job requirements, you're right, you have to be able to lift this. And if a woman applies to work in construction and she can lift it, you're not allowed to turn her down just because she's a woman, right? If she were unable to lift it, it's a different thing. But surely you would also refuse to hire a man unable to lift something. But as long as they can lift shit, you should be having to hire them. Yeah, so I fully think that, yeah. But also I don't think you should be allowed to hire specifically physically attractive people. And at the same time, I don't think you should be allowed to use your costumers as a way to get people to come into yours. I don't think you should be allowed to use your employees as a way to get people to step foot into your shop. I think that's objectification. I don't think that should be allowed.
In Bercini, north of Bucharest, Valentin, Gabriella and their 2 daughters have been living happily in this house
in
for a
shops.
year.
Coming to you to sell some shit for smokers. Once there was a man in suit, but also with some shiny shit on hair and some makeup. Oh! If makeup is needed, then it must be a woman to not push away people. Yeah, see, but something like that is a thing that is pushed on by culture, and I'm fully okay with not allowing shops to discriminate based on that, so the culture itself has to change. Because more you see men around wearing makeup, more it gets normalized, and I fully feel it should be normalized. So I'm absolutely disagreeing with the idea of only hiring women wearing makeup in that position.
Thanks to the NGO Habitat for Humanity, which helps low-income families.
Yeah, I think that's bad. I think that's bad, and I wouldn't allow it. Yeah, I know what it is. I know what sort of a practice it is. I worked in a job position like that. I think first off, it denotes shit business practice, which, you know, in my position, a lot of shops doing stuff like that should be closed immediately without like any sort of further thinking into it. But also I do think that we should not be encouraging shops to work based on like clickbait. Because like, come on, like where's the line at that point? Do we just see shops hiring women with humongous boobs and then they wear low-cut shirts? So you come in and you buy some groceries? Is that what we're gonna be doing? I feel that's ridiculous. What about a strip club? If I know anything about strip clubs, I know that there's a high demand for a wide variety of bodies in strip clubs. If I know a single thing about strip clubs, I know that any sort of discrimination when it comes to strip clubs could actually fucking hurt your business, alright? Because seeing the same type of a body dancing there again and again and again and again and again, bullshit. Bullshit, alright? That's not fun. Do we not have Hooters? No, we don't have Hooters. I think Hooters are shit business practice. We don't have Hooters, and I'm happy we don't have Hooters, and I hope we never introduce Hooters. I think it's a ridiculous thing, my man. I've seen videos of people, the types of people who go into Hooters. Oosh. That shit is disgusting. That shit is disgusting, my man. I saw them do, they do like family days. When it's encouraged, you bring your kids over there. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I hate the business practice of it. Your body shouldn't be a requirement, but deportment should be. Deportment means how someone keeps themselves. Oh yeah. Like definitely. Like you work a specific position. There's a way, like the requirements about you can't have neon hair in certain workplaces, stuff like that. Your makeup has to be appropriate. Your outfits have to be appropriate. Stuff like that. I fully agree with that.
New EU legislation to protect platform
it's not discrimination. No, it is discrimination by definition. It is discrimination. To say that specifically you will hire men for lifting wood instead of saying I'm gonna hire a person that can lift wood. That's discrimination. Right? By definition, that is discrimination. What you are allowed to say is I'm going to hire a person strong enough to lift wood. What you are not allowed to say is I'm going to hire specifically a man. Because that is not a requirement that matters in the job position that he has a cock and balls. The requirement is that the person is able to lift something heavy. Even though this is going to create a situation where you will be hiring more men than women anyways, because men are stronger on average, it still shouldn't be an excuse to not hire a woman who is strong enough. Hooters as a kids menu? Ridiculous. Man, ridiculous. I would never fucking allow that shit to be open. Just crazy. Fucking crazy. That's one of those things that should be basically a strip bar. That's basically a strip bar normalized. Just weird.
For her, improving her teaching ethics is the greatest reward.
Prostitute interview, there was info that with age and weight, the price does not fall. And MILF is one of the most popular Pornhub categories. That too. Though I do imagine, like, when it comes to strip club and when it comes to dancing, there might be interesting age requirements for that, depending on how fit you are. What if you want them to lift wood with a bucket attached to their penis? I feel you're at that point not having a wood lifting company.
On the other side of Europe, France
in some way you are, but I feel you're doing a very different type of a job. I feel you're kind of creating something a bit different. What if it costs more to insure the women due to the significantly high probability of them being injured? But then you're also assuming that every single woman you hire is going to be weaker than every single man you hire, wouldn't you? Which I'm also not sure would make sense. That people who have one leg are better at lifting wood. How would you find out with experience? What's even the point of making up these hypotheticals when the hypothetical makes no sense? How in the fucking world would a person with one leg be better at lifting wood? How in the fucking universe?
Thanks to her work, she gradually re-established herself.
What? Hey, let me make a hypothetical that makes no fucking sense to defend real-life discrimination that I'm calling for. How does that make sense in your fucking head? The hell was that comment? That was so stupid. Most people who hire escorts are there to fill social and emotional needs more than sexual needs. But also, there's males who do the job. There's males who do the job. There's quite a lot of positions where you have dudes doing the job. And it works because, surprise, surprise, surprise to no one, I guess. Like, have you ever worked as a waiter, as a dude waiter? I don't know if you ever worked as a dude waiter. I've heard horror stories of dudes who work as waiters in the very much same way I've heard horror stories of waitresses, and I've experienced horror stories as waitresses. What it turns out that if you are a young person in the position where you have to provide service for people, what you will very often get is older people trying to slap your ass. And this happens to male waiters too. Alright, it happens to anyone. There's old, rotten people who will come, both men and women, who will come around and try to slap young asses. And there's both men and women in old ages who will see a young person working at the door being physically attractive and getting in. Right? This is trash. If your business operates on getting these types of people in, your business is trash. And I'm against it existing in the first place. Come on, like you shouldn't be allowed to objectify your staff to that point. When it comes to people who are self-employing themselves as escorts, that's a wholly different thing. Because like you can't really discriminate against fucking yourself, right? You're hiring yourself, you are advertising yourself to be in the job position. But when it comes to people who are offering some other job that is not being an escort, no, you shouldn't be allowed to discriminate. Holy shit.
Ich möchte, dass meine Stimme noch mehr verändert.
C'est ça toute la beauté de la démocratie.
Women are less excellent run in workplace. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about the statistics on that, but I don't know why a woman and a man would be statistically different when it comes to this. Because as long as, for example, your requirement is a person can lift a fuck ton of kilograms regularly, right?
Anywhere.
A woman with that muscle mass, I don't know why she would be more prone to getting injured in the workplace than a man with the same muscle mass.
Let the pictures tell the story.
Because I feel what we're doing is I say women in construction, and I'm imagining a strong, buff woman able to lift 50 kilograms over and over and over. And I'm thinking you're imagining some weak-ass, tiny little dainty woman instead. I think that's the problem. Like, you're not imagining a woman actually fulfilling the requirements. You're imagining a woman who doesn't fill requirements. I'm not saying it's not harder to find such women. Holy shit, this is getting to like retarded points. I'm annoyed by this conversation. I'm not saying women who can't lift 50 kilograms should be hired. I'm saying that you should not be discriminating against a person able to lift 50 kilograms, depending on whether they are a man or a woman. Yeah, they're going to be hard to find, no one is saying otherwise. Still, if one applies to your job, you should not be allowed to say, I am not hiring you specifically because you have TDs. Like, this is ridiculous. You're not wasting your time with the population. You're setting up a job requirement, and then people come and you test if they have the requirements to do the job. How is this a waste of time? Have you ever been an employer, for fuck's sake?
It's always exciting.
Have you ever been employing people to work in construction? What happens usually is you give them a week to test how good they are at doing whatever you want them to be doing. You do that for men too. When my brother was being employed, he had, I think it was even 2 weeks at the point, that he had to be working. He was getting paid, but it wasn't like proper payment. But it was 2 weeks of test work. So what happens is they just chunk you out at the construction site and they're like, do the job. Whatever the other people tell you to do, you do the job. And he had to be lifting hard in these 2 weeks, but he proved that he is physically able to do it, so he got the job. So you just do that. Whoever applies for the job, you're like, all right, 2 weeks, go and do it. If you can do it, if you can survive 2 weeks, that's that, GG. If you can't do it, well then, that sucks. You won't be able to do the job. You're not wasting time with anyone. You're just giving people the ability to go and figure out if they can do it. Just ridiculous. Security lad in a bank lounge, she could have squeezed my head in her arms. I know a woman working security actually. Man, she's incredible. She's buff. Oh, she is buff. She got the education to be working as a security woman, and they were like, hey, because of the way you're built, like, I feel you have potential to be getting higher paychecks. And she was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, usually like when you finish the course to be working as a security guard, they give you a position like at a bank, for example. So there's a bank office, you know bank offices, you enter and there's just like people standing at the doors. That's the position she was supposed to be getting. And they were like, you want to be getting something better paid? And she was like, yeah, sure. And they gave her the position to be working at football matches. This woman travels all across Croatia to be working at football matches. Because apparently it's like the hardest position you could get as a security worker. It's the toughest position you can work, but also it's the one that brings you the most paycheck. So she just goes and travels around to football matches across the country. Incredible thing. Where were we on this? You limit waiters for women not to show off booba, but just to be elegant and visually nice. But men can be elegant and visually nice. So I disagree with that. No, I don't think you should be allowed to, I don't think you should be allowed to pick based on the gender at all. Men can bring you coffee in the very much same way women can bring you coffee. You just gotta have a proper uniform to put these people in. Everyone can be elegant. There's no reason to make this to be a man versus women thing. Just nothing. There's no reason for this.
Ukraine can use weapons it delivers against attacks from positions over the Russian border.
Slovakia's Prime Minister has been released from hospital.
So you look at you and you see cute 44 boy man ain't gonna even wait the 2 weeks. Yeah, but like I'm not talking about a woman who's 50 kilograms heavy applying for construction. I'm talking about women actually able to lift 50 kilograms. Like the hell? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Overall, yeah, I'm against it, and so far I've read every single one of your responses trying to prove me wrong, and I think every single one of them was idiotic. Oh, did I skip over a point? Possibly. Let me try it. Oh, lower bone density. Women have lower bone density and are significantly more likely to pull muscles. This has nothing to do with strength or size, it's just biology. If it is proven that in specific workplaces there is, because of that, more possibility for a woman to get harmed.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
Even then,
it's okay. I'm fighting for our country.
Even then, I'm like, you know what?
Our whole country is being rigged.
Just pay their security.
This was done by the Biden
But I would say, no, actually I wouldn't. No, I'm against it. You know why I'm against it? Because we are outlawing discrimination based on gender when it comes to hiring younger women because they might be getting pregnant in the future or shit like that. Even though statistically there is a possibility you will have to be looking for a replacement for this person because they might be going pregnant sometime soon, therefore they might be going on a leave. Still, it is illegal to discriminate against young women based on that. So yeah, I feel I would also, I would be like, no. I would be like, no, you're not allowed to discriminate against women based on that either. If she fulfills all requirements, she fulfilled all the damn requirements. That's that. If she has to get sick leave, she has to get sick leave.
Could face a prison sentence, although legal experts say a fine is the more likely outcome.
Insurance charges are more for women. By law, we still must hire them. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Speaking of no legs, you see that limbless SM veteran who got some medal from Putin? Wasn't he also? Is that the one who was sent to the front line again? Because I saw some of them being... I saw one of them is being sent back to the front line. Women could have worse injuries compared to men if work with weights they're not supposed to. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but that's why you create proper safety procedures at work, right? You create proper safety procedures at work, so shit like that doesn't happen. So yeah, I'm still okay with that.
President Joe Biden also gave the green light to Kyiv to strike Russia with American weapons in order to defend Kharkiv.
Medal on some guy. No arms, no legs. Oh man, I read a horror story. Oh my man. Yeah, if you support discrimination on your free market, that's on you. I'm always going to be voting for parties that do not, and I'm always going to be reporting jobs that do discriminate when it comes to gender differences. Absolutely. So yeah. Good luck, I guess.
And it will
I don't think your position is too stable in European Union, and I don't think it's going to be.
Physical delivery, the first
I don't think it's going to be existing there for long. time.
So they could
This man
use it
against
to
college
defend
job. How are you
themselves
this
from
stupid?
the,
I swear to God, you're like mentally
barbaric
challenged.
Russian
You're
invasion.
mentally challenged. When you were in elementary school, you were that stupid kid in the corner eating pencils. That's what you were. You were that idiotic little kid, and everyone was looking at you and being like, this kid's gonna be trashed their whole lives, and now you're like this, and yeah, you are trash. How are you this stupid? How, genuinely, how are you this stupid?
Gaza's largest
how are you this idiotic? A requirement to get a position can be finishing specific education. It can't be, oh, you can't be a doctor if you're a dude who finished this education. It can be, hey, if you didn't finish the education in the first place, then you can't get a position. Yeah, you're mentally challenged, you're an idiot. I don't know how you're not understanding what sort of an idiot you are. Finishing specific education, getting a specific degree is a valid form of a requirement to get a job position in the very much same way that specific strength is. But like, whether they have a dick and balls or whether they have tits or how much makeup that they wear, that is not a proper requirement for a job position.
But the Biden administration,
yeah, at this point, my man is literally fighting for low IQ people because he is one of them, definitely. Well observed. Well fucking observed. Man's like, why are we idiots not allowed to have high-paying positions?
Not a major military operation. I'm not going to categorize it.
By the way, I'm getting SDP.
This is obviously a very dynamic.
I'm getting SDP. Fun thing, like SDP, about SDP, this is their leader currently. Not officially their leader, because he's currently the president of the country, but unofficially he's the leader of the party, and he has tried to get the prime minister position as the head of SDP, and then it didn't work. Luckily it didn't work, because Croats have actually been voting in a much better way, so congratulations for that.
The UN estimates that around 900,000 people have fled the city since the start of Israel's limited
no translation for what?
Slovakia's Prime Minister has been released from hospital 2 weeks after being seriously wounded in a shooting. Fico was airlifted to the country's capital, Bratislava, where he is now receiving nursing care at home. Fico was shot several times at close range while on a visit to Handlova earlier this month. He is reported to have undergone a number of operations after being left in life-threatening condition following the assassination attempt.
Can't do it here.
The attack comes against the backdrop of an increasingly polarized Slovakia, with multiple protests taking place against Fico's political reforms and government policy.
There's too many of them.
The suspect has been charged with attempted murder and remains in custody.
Oh, Russia's warning United States against miscalculations that could result in escalation. Oh, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit. Oh.
Spanish youth are divided as they head to the European elections on the 9th of June.
No, the discrimination is against people who haven't finished education to get a specific job position. You wouldn't test their IQ. You wouldn't go and test their IQ to figure out if they're allowed to be a doctor. You would be like, hey, did you finish the school to be a doctor? Do you have your doctor's degree? You do have it, all right. You finished the training to be a doctor? Yeah, you did. All right, nice. You can get to the position. No one will be testing your IQ. The question isn't whether your intelligence is high enough. It's not like if someone has IQ of 187, you would immediately be like, yeah, you can be a doctor right now. You can be a doctor. No, they wouldn't be able to be a doctor. Why? Because they don't have education to be a doctor. The degree is what matters. It isn't about the IQ levels, it's about the degree. No, the fact that one group has a tendency of not fulfilling the requirements doesn't mean that you can immediately kick out the entirety of the group from getting the job position because they have less of a tendency to fill the requirements. In the very much same way that just because women are rarer able to lift 50 kilograms doesn't mean that you can immediately kick out entirety of women from the ability to work construction. Like, this is what you're not understanding in the entirety of the thing. Or you are understanding, but you're choosing to act as a glue eater for some reason.
Como un elemento articulador de los conflictos que anteriormente se podían
se podían dirimir en torno a otras variables.
Do you think femme waiters make a better business? Despite mask waiters being better at engaging and manipulating a date table, but by addressing the man, oh man, you can make them spend more money, influence decisions, and pull more tips. Oh, nice, impressive, impressive. Oh, to be honest, I went into coffee shops with both men and women working, and I've never really noticed the difference in any sort of a way. So I already know the probability. No, you're not allowed to guess the probability. You're not allowed to guess the probability. You're guessing the probability at that point, right? You're not allowed to do that shit. What you're allowed to do is to set up requirements, and then every person who applies, you have to figure out if they fit the requirements or not. What you're not allowed to do is to say, hey, people of your background fit the requirements rarely, so I'll just not interview you in the first place. That's called discrimination. Like, this genuinely isn't a hard thing to understand. I don't know what here is complex. I don't know what's confusing you. Yeah, just ridiculous. One veteran talent design, another Colombian bearded girl. Oh, that is my position. See, that's what you encourage when it comes to encouraging gender norms. It's what you encourage. You encourage the situations where people are being just bullied for no fucking reason. And it's the dumbest thing to do. It's not helping anyone. It's not strengthening anything. It's really just creating more problems, and that's that. Zelensky's participation into the Shangri-La dialogue is reminiscent of the West's attempt to drag the states of the Asia-Pacific into the Ukrainian crisis, he goes. Oh.
What do you think about this theory of the Great Replacement?
Authors of the publication argue that Asia-Pacific countries should not fall into the trap Ukraine fell into, since inciting the United States to block confrontation in Asia is dangerous. What? Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. That was just mama and dumbassery. How did you answer? Should the EU rigorously punish member states that violate the rules? I answered that I don't really care about it. I don't really care that much. I think they are already discouraged from violating the rules. But like, that's that. I think they're trying their best. I know we're in danger always of some country messing up the rules and creating a very unfavorable situation for our economy overall, right? Like stuff that we had with Greece, for example. But I don't know. It's not really something that I think is too big of an issue for us. Yeah, but I see. I think you shouldn't be allowed to search specifically for sex with men. And I understand that your idea is that you should be allowed to seek for it, and I also hope that you understand that my thing is I'll always be voting for parties that do discourage that, and I'll always be reporting workplaces that do this sort of discrimination. And that's that. Like, there's genuinely nothing here that we can be fighting about. I understand your position. I understand your position is incredibly stupid, as you have shown through several times in this conversation, not understanding the point of the conversation in the first place. I think you're unable to understand what you are even commenting on. That is my basic take on this. If we want Spain to progress environmentally, it probably means to go further into deficit before saving money. Yeah, that's true, that's true. It is true. It is true. And then there's a certain amount they're allowed to go into deficit, as far as I understand, right? But you want to discourage more than that. But I don't know. Like, too big of punishments, I do think, would be playing out rather negatively for us. Every time I think I'm a bit misogynistic and sexist, a random maniac 228 appears and I start to believe I'm actually not. Like, I'm actually normal. When you compare me to some people, I'm actually normal. Quite a surprise, isn't it? Quite interesting. Company hired man, then HR found social media photos of him looking like woman or femboy or shit. And in the HR chat, she was asking how to remove him quietly before I saw it, and it became a scandal. Oh, see, I do think it should be a scandal. I don't think you should be allowed to fire people like that. As long as they are not actually representing the firm on social media, I don't think you should be allowed to fire them. I don't think you should be allowed to do that. It's different if they actually do represent the firm on social media, and it is different if when you do have the job
European
what's the word?
elections from 6 to 9 June 2024. Let's vote.
The job interview, you do ask them about social media, and I know they do this rather often. They will like ask you if you have social media, what sort of social media you have. They can fire you if they ask you and you refuse to say what social media you have. It's like they ask you and you're like, no, I don't have any Facebook accounts or whatever, and then later they find out you do have a Facebook account. They can be firing you for that, especially if you're shitting on the firm and shitting on the firm's values. But when it comes to something just like that, like he wasn't shitting on the firm itself, what would power you to go and fire him? He wasn't going to actually attack the firm itself, was he?
He was accused of concealing a payment made by his lawyer to former adult film star Stormy Daniels to buy
I'm not
her silence
saying
ahead of the
that it's stupid to know
election.
people will apply for jobs they don't fit for. I'm
outside the
saying
court
that
after
it's
the verdict
stupid
had been read,
to
Trump
pretend
blasted
that
the
it
trial
should
as a
be
disgrace.
allowed or normalized to completely discourage an entire group from applying for the job based on their background, based on their physical characteristics, based on their sex, based on their gender, based on their sexuality, stuff like that. That's what I'm against. Yeah, you're allowed to say I want a team of red hair waitresses at your shop, definitely. And people are allowed to report you if you do something like that.
While this
Yeah.
defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this
I don't
trial,
like to deal with that storage.
and ultimately today at this verdict.
I understand when it comes to him being a traitor, I understand to that, but when it comes to just people expressing their gender differently, yeah, I don't think that should be seen as a valid reason to fire someone. Genuinely.
Just minutes after Trump was convicted,
Is
the
someone's
Biden campaign
conflicting or some
released a
LGBT
statement
phobe?
saying
Yeah,
no
because
one
they
is
have a
above the
thing.
law. This trial is
There's
just
a
one
thing
of
with
6 cases, 4
explaining the
criminal and 2
values
civil,
of your
that
job,
Trump is currently
and usually you
facing.
have this in
He'll be
your
sentenced
firm
on July the
listing.
11th and could face a prison sentence,
You know
although
how
legal
sometimes you can
experts
like
say
go to a
fine is
firm
the more
and you can
likely
go
outcome.
about us section and they will explain what they stand for. There are these values that the firm stands for, and usually in the
Germany's
contract it
Defense
will be,
Minister
oh yeah,
Boris
you're not
Pistorius
allowed
has announced
to
a
be
500
shitting on these
million
values
euro
or to be
military
subverting
support
them in
package
some
for
way.
Ukraine.
So if the firm
He
is
made the
for
announcement
equality,
during a trip to
if
the
the firm
southern
is for
port city
equality,
of
and
Odessa.
mostly they will say that they are, you're not allowed to be hateful on social media, especially if anywhere in your profile is linked to the name of the firm, because you are mirroring your positions onto the firm itself. So the reason they fire you is because you are acting as a representative, unofficial representative of the firm, and you are representing them poorly, right? So yeah, they can do that. Very often they will have stuff like celebrating the Pride Month, for example, right now, stuff like that. And then if you go against that, you are negatively impacting the image of the firm itself. They don't want you to be negatively impacting their image.
Address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said
Who
that
believes
new
companies
agreements
support
with
something else
partners
with
on
money?
air
Oh,
defences and
I
drone
think
production
something
are on
like
the
that
horizon.
doesn't really matter. I think something like that doesn't really matter. It's like when people talk about, oh, does USA support Ukraine because USA actually supports Ukraine, or does USA support it for their own interests? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, right? The actions that are taken is what matters, and the result of these actions is what matters, but it doesn't really matter if they do it for money to get more people to buy their shit, or if they do it because they genuinely want to support the LGBT population. What matters is that these are the values that they are claiming to stand behind, and as a person employed in the firm, you have to be supporting these values, right?
Palestinians in Jabalia have been searching for their belongings in the rubble of the refugee
You say yes?
camp.
No, I've
after the
never said
Israeli
yes, 6 feet men are better
military
at
withdrew from the
lifting
area
wood.
following a
No, I
3-week
don't agree
operation.
6 feet men are better at lifting wood, because I know
Gaza's
quite a lot of
largest
6 feet
refugee
men who are
camp, once home
quite
to more than
weak
100,000
physically.
people, has been all but
So
destroyed
no,
in an
I wouldn't
IDF
agree with
mission
that.
to eliminate Hamas positions.
I would agree that a person good at
The
lifting
Health
wood
Ministry
is
in
better
Gaza
at
says
lifting wood.
53 Palestinians
So your
were
requirement
killed
should
and
be someone good at lifting
357
wood.
others wounded
Not
in
hate,
fighting across the
not
strip
weight,
in the past
not sex,
24
not
hours.
gender, not sexuality. Someone who's good at lifting wood is going to be a
Aid was
person I
airdropped
employ to be
into
lifting
Gaza
wood.
again
That's
on
that.
Thursday, with
Like it's
people
genuinely
rushing
not
to
that
landing
complex.
areas to try to access food and other supplies.
Hair color, gender,
At a press
sex,
conference in
dick
New York,
length,
the
but
UN
if
Secretary
they don't say
General's
this and just refuse
spokesperson
everyone
gave
who
a
does
grim
not fit, you
assessment of the
degenerate. Yeah, but also I
humanitarian
think that
situation
certain
in the
requirements
strip.
like that shouldn't be allowed to exist in the first place. I understand stuff like specific ways of presentation being demanded at the workplace. So the idea is like, oh, if you want to work in this office, you want to be working in this office, you have to be dressing business casual and your attire has to fit dressing business casual, right? So you always have to come in wearing appropriate amounts of makeup, wearing your hair in the proper ways, you know, stuff like that. You have to always be combed, you have to always be smelling nice, shit like that. It's a requirement I would see because it demands you present yourself in a certain way. But if they say, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna be hiring people who
elsewhere in the enclave.
I don't know, people who are too physically ugly because like they are ugly face, I don't want to be looking at it, so you can't get a job at this firm. I don't feel that should be allowed.
The UN estimates that around
Nationalist conservatives
900,000
beating
people have fled the city
people and
since the start
children
of Israel's limited
would be offended by
military
the idea of
operation.
beating random child and adult man. I mean, being disgusted to interact with these people, I don't really think it's a healthy position. But yeah, usually beating up anyone for the ways that they present themselves, I would agree, is a rather weird position. Like it's just stupidity. It's just pure stupidity. Like, what in the world makes you be so primitive that you would go and beat someone up? And it's like with street fights. It's like with street fights, it doesn't matter why you start a street fight. You started a street fight, and you're lost. Like, you're already a weird little animal. You're already lost. That's just bullshit.
The attack
So,
comes against the backdrop
yeah.
of an increasingly polarized Slovakia, with multiple protests taking place against Fico's political reforms and government policy.
No, I don't agree. It makes sense to ask for a 6-foot man if you want a wood lifter. No, absolutely. I think it makes sense to ask for a person who is strong enough to be lifting wood. That's that. I don't think height has a lot to do with it. Street UFC, yeah, that. But it's like, at the point of you engaging in it, you already lost, didn't you? It doesn't matter why you engage in it. Like, I knew a man who was very desperate in trying to prove me that he was a hero because he was engaged in a street fight because a man at the club was making rumors about his girlfriend. So he went out of the club and he beat this man up and then took pictures of it and bragged about it online. And I was like, bro, that's kind of primitive. Like, no joke, that's kind of primitive. And he was like, no, I was actually a hero in the situation. Ah, no, my dude, like, you participated in a street fight? That's kind of primitive. And that's kind of a bullshit thing to do, alright? It doesn't matter why you participated. You participated in a fucking street fight, you engaged in that shit, and then you go bragging around about it? That's a monkey-ass behavior. Who the fuck normal does that? No one does that, alright? That's some drunk Bosnian shit. Who the hell does that? Oh yeah, I don't agree with people with unknown genders being disgusting. I think it's a way that people choose to try and present themselves, which is just normal. People are experimenting. I feel that that's just a completely normal thing. Person that can lift wood has certain traits different than the one that can't. Yeah, muscle mass usually. Muscle mass is different in people who can and people who can't.
Anteriormente se podían dirimir en torno a otras variables.
So what you do usually is you hire a person who has the muscle mass to be lifting. But enough of this dumbass conversation. I gotta show you my videos.
Ejemplos, si comparamos con la
I gotta show you my videos. I saved one
se hacen cargo de una reconstrucción
on
conservadora de la masculinidad
right, push
que
it
estén
here.
planteando la
Saved one
posibilidad
on
de
immigration
otro tipo de masculinidad donde los chavales
specifically. So we're gonna be looking into that. But where do I have it? Also, I saved this entire thing. Do we just let it play and then we see how it goes? But this is the immigration one, and I'm actually interested because it is a problem, but also I don't know how we should be dealing with it.
Immigrants try to enter the EU. These numbers have risen for
So it's
3
like,
consecutive years, making illegal immigration one of the foremost concerns for Europeans. In
Oh, is he
fact,
loud enough for you?
24%
Oh,
of
he is. Oh, he is.
Europeans now view it as one of
So
the
yeah,
primary
I don't
issues
know what I would do.
requiring urgent
I don't know what I would do.
attention.
I don't know how I
Now
would deal
faced
with
this
it.
complex
Not gonna lie.
challenge, the EU must consider various approaches to manage the situation effectively. Should we opt to strengthen our borders with fences and border controls? On the pro side, enhancing border
You're on a
security
Twitch chat on a
could
Monday.
potentially reduce illegal
Maybe she
immigration,
works afternoon
trafficking,
shift like
and
I do.
terrorism. And on the con side, stricter border controls
You
may
never
lead
know,
to
you never
increased
know.
costs, human rights violations, and damage to the EU's reputation as a defender of human rights. So what do you think? Should the EU strengthen its borders? Choose now and click yes
can get
if you
100
agree,
kilograms
or
on your
no
lift without
if you
gaining
think
1
alternative
gram
solutions
of
should be
muscle?
pursued.
What?
This will then take you to the next video, so click now.
Oh. Did it say yes?
One proposed solution is to set up migration management centers in third countries, such as Albania. In these
I'm actually
centers,
right with that.
asylum requests can be
You're a web
processed,
developer.
and those
I'm
granted
jealous.
asylum could then enter the
I
EU
wish I was doing the job.
according to a set quota. On the
I got into a community recently of people who work as game designers. Man, it's a dream job, isn't it? Man. Examiner discriminated against me because my brain didn't have the capability to solve the question. You're still not understanding. Discrimination would be if they did an IQ test on you and you were too stupid, so they didn't even give you the medical test to solve. They just went, oh, you're too stupid, so we're kicking you out. Your IQ is 100. We don't want you around. Discrimination is not saying, hey, a person, in order to get the job, has to fulfill the requirement of filling the medical exam properly and also having a medical degree. Like, at this point, you're just choosing to pretend you don't understand the point. You do understand it. It's a very simple conversation to have. Sup, Kim, how's life?
The pro side, these centers reduce illegal immigration, as people will have
Oh,
less
why is this one
incentive
here
to
still?
come to the EU, as they will be sent to third countries instead. It might also offer protection to those in need closer to their home countries. And on the con side, setting up migration centers outside of the EU might involve significant costs, logistical challenges, and the risk of poor conditions and human rights violations in these centers. It could also strain relations with third countries hosting these centers. So what do you think? Should the EU establish migration management centers in third countries? Choose now. Click on yes if you agree, or no if you think alternative solutions should be pursued. This will then take you to the next video.
Oh shit, wait, this is hard. You don't ask them for a video of them lifting a fridge. You ask them to come and work for a day in your fridge lifting factory. That's what you do. You're like, alright, are you able to fulfill the requirements? Nice, go and lift some fridges. Just do that. Like, it's genuinely not that complex. I just shoot myself in the face. Giving more job to the doctor. Giving more job to the doctor. That's nice of you, I guess. It's a big reason people keep training during caloric deficit. Is because they refine their strength without building mass, since genetically almost no one gains mass while in deficit. Ah. Huh. Man, I'm stupid on that. I'm a dumbass on that. When does Wiki stream that bot? Does that actually exist? I wish it did. What happens if I click? Does it give me... I was like, man, I should actually make it. I should actually create something like this. Wait, where was my video? Oh yeah, also I saved No Fuckers video. I don't know how you feel about it, but I saved it. Less illegal immigration, less incentives for migrants to come, but help for migrants closer to home. And then you have high cost, human rights violations, and strained relations with third countries. Oh, please write in English. I want to say yeah. I feel if we put enough money in them, I feel we can also regulate them properly to make sure that there's no human rights violations happening, right?
One proposed solution is to redistribute migrants across the EU. This
I
will
agree
involve
with this.
sharing the responsibility.
It's trying to figure out how you would solve the issues of immigration. So you basically, you watch it, you look at the video, and then you click what you would do. And I don't know what happens then. I guess they give you what's the best person to be voting for. Giving money and hoping people will do the right thing. Probably gonna have a bad time. But I do feel like on an institutional level it might work, actually. I do feel it might work. Because on one hand, we did have a situation where we got a lot of European Union cash money to fix our roads and to fix our borders. To make sure that when immigrants are coming over our borders from Serbia over here, that we can properly make sure to track them. And we didn't do a good job with it for a while, and then European Union threatened to pull the money back. And now we're doing a better job. So I feel it actually could be working, I feel it actually could be working. If you give a country quite a lot of money to be working properly, and if you send inspections often enough, I feel it could be working. But you gotta be making sure that you are funding it properly, and also that you are, of course, sending inspections to do regulations properly. I feel it might work. Right? Because at the same time, like, you're having issues with... You're having issues already when it comes to centers in our own countries. So it's not like the issue of human rights violations is non-existent here. So you would still need to be able... What are you doing, my dude? Are you... We said English. We said English. Why are we not saying English? Why am I not saying English in chat? Like, I think the demand was rather well made. English, please. Yeah. Not understanding Bulgarian. Look, I'm sorry, my dudes. I'm trying to learn Ukrainian. I'm still not good enough to be understanding it in a long message like that, alright? So, yeah. Serbian. Might be also Serbian. I don't know what other language it could be. At this point, it's like Ukrainian, Bulgarian, Serbian. Who else uses Cyrillics? No one important. No, that one doesn't count. That one doesn't count. We're deleting that one from public memory. But Serbian might be Serbian. Don't understand Serbian, so sorry. Where was I? Yeah, basically what I'm saying is that the problem could be happening in our own countries too, even if it's not like a third country. So, I don't know why we would pretend that there is no human rights violation issues here, and then having it in a third country, I genuinely feel it would help. Serbian government is pro-Russia? Pro-Russia. Not pro-NATO at all. Oh no, Serbian government doesn't like NATO. What's going on currently is you have Vučić, and Vučić is trying to get enough Western support for Serbia, because Serbia actually quite relies on getting Western support. He's trying to get Western support from Serbia while at the same time not being directly linked to NATO, because NATO still has quite a bad reputation in Serbia overall. So he's trying to do 50-50, and then him trying to do 50-50 is... Yeah, kind of failure. Yeah. But he is quite pro-Serbian at the same time. Let's just pro-Serbian, pro-Russian. In his attempts to be 50-50, he is trying to follow what Serbian population thinks about Russia, which is generally a positive opinion, unfortunately. Wait, what do you mean? What was the country after she did the quiz? Like the result? The result? In the European Union quiz thing? This? I was solving the Croatian one. Oh, I was solving the Croatian one. And I got SDP as my party, which I'm not really a big fan of, but I got SDP. Unfortunate looking human. I could agree with that. Could agree with that.
He didn't block it.
Does he succeed at any point? He doesn't. Why wouldn't you just... Oh shit. Oh, that was, yeah, true. Man, he was trying so hard. In my head, I'm like, why doesn't he just slide down? Because it feels like he should be able to. Like, you should be able to have enough of a grip on the upper bar to... Yeah, it feels it should be able to, but I don't know. But yeah, also, it's not just about Vučić being ugly as fuck, even though he is ugly as fuck. It's about Vučić being a horrible man overall. Vučić was the right hand of Milosevic. I don't know how much you know about Yugoslavia 1990s. Milosevic was the head of Serbia during the 1990s. Serbs actually had a bulldozer revolution back in 1999, which was meant to kick out Milosevic because he lost the war. At the time, we thought, by we, I don't even know who I'm saying, as we, the deluded parts of society, they thought that they were kicking out Milosevic because Milosevic was an authoritarian leader of Serbia who was trying to bring Serbia back to, you know, the times of ruling over old Slav lands. That was not the reason. The reason actually was the fact that he lost the war. They were angry because he lost the war. So then after they kicked out Milosevic, soon afterwards, they got Vučić in power, who is basically the same thing. Because Serbian culture does value the idea of a greater Serbia. It just doesn't value a leader who is not good enough at getting them to get a Serbia, right? It's very much similar to Russia of today. Like, even if they kick out Putin today, they're going to pick someone else because the Russian culture of today values the idea of a Russian empire. They are not going to kick him out because he is imperialistic. They're going to kick him out because he is unsuccessful as bringing the empire to power. So they're going to try to choose someone else who might actually be able to do it. That's what Serbs did back in 1999. So Vučić right now as the head of Serbia, Vučić is a man who was directly complicit in the attempts of genocide on Bosniaks and Kosovars in 1990s. Vučić was directly fucking complicit. This is one of the reasons why Vučić cannot ever fully go the way of European Union and NATO. Vučić himself is a war criminal. His policies rely on censoring the press, for example. His policies rely on getting Serbs angry about Kosovars, getting Serbs angry about Bosniaks. He is very good friends with Dodik, and Dodik is a man who is currently leading Republika Srpska in Bosnia. Dodik is a man who wants to separate Republika Srpska from the federation, and he wants to add it to Serbia overall, basically trying to build greater Serbia one step at a time, right? So yeah, it's a very dangerous situation in Balkans right now. Vučić is a very dangerous person. He is ugly as shit, but also he is genuinely dangerous. He is genuinely genocidal. He has shown it very openly in the 1990s. I don't know if you've seen, there has been a lot of videos on Twitter. I was very happy to see this. If you've seen him crying about UN declaring that Srebrenica actually was a genocide. If you've seen him crying about that, and then if you've seen that video compared to the video of 1990s where he said that they're going to kill even more Albanians in Kosovo. So yeah, overall, a very dangerous little man. The majority of their elites and higher class are pro-Putin because no single man can run an army. Yeah, that too, definitely. One dictator that is hot looking. I don't even know. I don't think we have any. I think we got the ugly ones. We weren't really, Saddam Hussein didn't really see him as hot. Tito, like maybe when he was really, really young, you know that really, really young picture of Tito? The really, really, really young. The one where he has those tiny glasses? Maybe that one. Young Stalin. Oh yeah, he looked like a hipster, but I'm not really into hipsters. So for me, he's like, Albania Kosovo unification is realistic possibility. Ooh. I think geopolitically it would be stupid. I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they don't do it, because if they do it, Serbia's gonna go. Oh, it's gonna go ballistic. I'm hoping they don't. Someone get them not to. Just please get them not to. Young Stalin picture is missing iPhone, making mirror selfie. Yeah. But he doesn't. Not really. I wouldn't say really, really hot looking. But Tito, yeah, young Tito with those little tiny glasses. I think he was alright. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. Yeah. Alright looking. Serbia would 1000% take action. Yeah, that's what I fear. I hope they don't. I hope Kosovo stays a country of its own. I hope they don't unify with Albania, because if they do unify with Albania, that's going to give more fuel to Serb conspiracies about Kosovo being invaded by Albanians. So, yeah. People seem 50-50 in Albania on the issue. I think that it would create a big danger when it comes to trying to get Serbs to stay a peaceful nation. I think for Albania itself, this might not be a big of an issue, but for Kosovo, it's gonna be a humongous problem. I don't think Serbs would agree with something like that, genuinely. Like they're going to take action. I think even what we would now see as a moderately nationalistic part of Serb society, so the part that is aware that they will lose Kosovo, I think even they would disagree with Albania and Kosovo uniting. Because currently you have like the extreme nationalistic part of Serb society disagreeing with Kosovo being a country, but they're losing. Right? They're losing, and we see that they're losing, and it's alright that they're losing. But if Kosovo and Albania unite, I think that's going to be a problem. I think that's going to be a big problem.
Asylum seekers and refugees more evenly among member
good
states,
luck in that case.
rather than leaving frontline countries like Italy and Greece to handle the majority of arrivals. On the pro side, redistributing migrants can ease the burden on countries that are most affected by migration flows. It can also help ensure better integration of migrants by placing them in regions with capacity to support them effectively. But on the con side, some member states that currently don't have many migrants will have to take some on, leading to tensions and divisions within the EU. There are also logistical challenges in relocating migrants, inclings ensuring their safety and willingness to move. So what do you think? Should migrants be redistributed?
And the reason I'm for is because these three issues already exist. These three issues are already a thing. Like even if
you choose now and click yes if you agree or no.
Pause it. Like even if you don't distribute migrants across the European Union, you still have a situation where some countries are forced to take them in. You still have division, and you still have logistical and safety challenges. You literally have it already. You literally have the shit already. So it's not like you're getting rid of these issues. It's not like you're not having these issues now and they would be created if you redistribute migrants across the EU. You're having these issues now and you would still have them. So yeah, but I'm feeling that the current system absolutely is not working. So what we need to do is a fix to the current system. So yes, I would redistribute them, absolutely. From where to where, I'm feeling every single European Union member state should have a quota of migrants that they have to be fulfilling. And I'm feeling they shouldn't be asked about whether or not they want to be taking these migrants in. I do feel they should be properly funded by European Union in order to be able to take care of these migrants properly. But I don't feel you should be asked about whether or not you want to take them in. Unless I did hear, was it Meloni? Was it Meloni having a idea that countries that opt out have to pay? I might be okay with that, but I think even then, I think it's better to just make every single country take a specific number and that. Because even if you see some countries paying, it would not really help countries that have to take in a lot of migrants by the virtue of being on the south of Europe, where you have a lot of migrants coming in. Palestine-Israel thing. I think what Israel is doing is causing a lot of civilian casualties, and I definitely feel like the whole situation is not playing in their favor. I'm feeling that recognizing both the Israeli and Palestinian state from our countries is the best way to reach peace, really, in the region. While Israel does have a right to defend itself, I do think we have seen quite a lot of genocidal messaging coming from the side of their politicians to be worried about the intent behind certain missions in this operation, right? So yeah, definitely not too supportive of the current way that this situation is going. Not too supportive of Netanyahu. I do feel he should have been. I feel he deserved the arrest warrant, and yeah, in the very much same way, I do feel like the Hamas leader also deserves the arrest warrant. I feel it's criminal what they are doing at this point, genuinely. Because I do understand that because Gaza is so densely settled, I do understand that a certain amount of civilian casualties cannot be avoided, right? Especially because Hamas is using civilians as shields. So it is understandable that sometimes Israelis might want to be hitting a military target, and then as you're trying to hit the military target, because the area is so densely settled, you also do damage civilian objects and you also do see civilian victims. I do understand that, but I feel that their calculation of an acceptable number of civilian victims in this operation and my calculation might not really be fitting with each other. No, it might not really be fitting. Yeah, I mean, hating the man. I do think he should be arrested. I do think he should be arrested, and I do think he deserves to be put in prison. But I don't know how much I have feelings, like personal feelings about the man, really. A very controversial issue in Albania at the moment. Oh shit! Controversial in what way? Controversial in what way? What's there to like about Netanyahu? Yeah, he's not a person I feel anything positive towards. I don't know if I would hate the man, but like, yeah, I don't respect him and I do want him to be in jail. Under the 5-year deal, Albania would shelter up to 3,000 migrants rescued from international waters at any time. That would be alright, wouldn't it? With asylum requests expected to take around a month to process, the number of asylum seekers sent to Albania could reach up to 36,000 in a year. Part of Meloni's efforts to share the burden of addressing migration with other European countries. Do we feel that's alright? Do we feel that's alright? Because I feel it's alright that they're sharing the burden. I feel it's nice. I feel it should get them some benefits, really. He was good looking. I don't even know, to be honest. But yeah, I'm for this.
One proposed solution is to have EU-financed naval support to rescue migrants. This would involve the EU funding and coordinating naval missions to rescue migrants in distress at sea. On the pro side, EU-financed naval support could save lives by providing timely rescue operations for migrants in peril. It demonstrates the EU's commitment to humanitarian aid and responsibility. But on the con side, maintaining naval missions involves significant financial costs and logistical challenges. There's also a concern that
also really good with Putin.
Might encourage more migrants to undertake dangerous journeys,
to be fair,
relying on the likelihood of rescue.
To be completely fair, I feel that's like also one of my rather strong points of disliking the man. Man's GG with Putin. Man's GG with Putin. I'm not really feeling his respect for Western values, let's say it like that. I don't really think he ever gave a shit about Western values in the first place. I don't really think he gives a shit about them now. I think he sees the West as a useful way to get ammo and to get aid for his people. I don't really he cares. I don't really think he cares overall about what the West is supposed to represent and how a democracy is supposed to function in that sort of an environment. So anyone in his position will go psycho? I don't really know. The position is messed up. The position is rather messed up. But I don't think he has been a player that's been trying to calm it down. I think he's been playing along. I think he entered a position that's rather messed up, and I think his efforts have been to keep it messed up. I don't think he has been trying to mediate it.
And that's it. When it comes to migration, you align mostly with Renew Europe. Renew Europe?
Renew Europe? They're proper, right?
Focuses on promoting liberal values, economic reform, and a strong, united European Union. If you want to vote for them, these are the national parties.
Nice. Hey. What here is Croatian? No, here is Croatian. I'm fucking blind. D66 though. I got D66 in the other. We ain't got no one.
But bear in mind, this is a very high-level overview. There is a lot more to the party, so for a full explanation of Renew Europe, check out this video. And if you want to play again, click here. And if you want to play the same game for the next topic, defense, click here.
Oh, here is the defense one. Okay. We still don't have the defense one, but we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it on stream. I kind of like this little test. If you want to solve the test, I'm gonna try to give it to you. Because this was fun. This was fun, actually. I like this type of questionnaire. This is the first one. Here's your link for the first one. So at the end, you just click on yes or no, and then they give you the result, and that's that. It's a really cool thing. I like this. Pre-voting opens till tomorrow. I think ours is supposed to be in the... Fuck, wait, when is ours? Did I mess up the dates? I didn't mess up the dates. Yeah, 9th. Holy shit, alright. Man, I got scared that I missed it. I was like, how I've been just reading too much about everyone else that I missed the Croatian ones. Holy shit. Yeah, we have time. We got time. Ours is always on Sunday. You voted online? We can't vote online. Oh, that's bullshit. We can't do that. Kind of jealous for that. Israel is very important for America as their last safe zone in the Middle East. No matter what they do, NATO will be behind them under the table. I do agree with that. I do think that Israel is using that, though. I think they're using that. I think they know that they can basically do whatever they want, and America will have to support them, right? Because America does have some value from having a state that supports them in the area. So yeah, abusing that hard. Yeah, proper. I wouldn't disagree at all. Voting online is open to manipulations. How did the check? I don't know, to be honest. We didn't introduce it yet. I did look into the system in Estonia a while ago, and that one actually seemed alright. I don't know what sort of a system we would be introducing here. Only. So yeah, I don't really know. How to vote online? Online voting safety. Fox News. I don't want a Fox News. I want some Fox News bullshit. Nah, we're gonna be trying to get some proper European news on this. Maybe for the next stream, maybe for that. But I remember looking into Estonian one, and it was alright. It was genuinely alright. Wait, what did I want to click on? Systems GG. Yeah, I imagine.
It's February 2020.
Why France will force NATO into war in Ukraine? Honest election? I feel when it comes to elections, when it comes to the ideas of elections being stolen, I feel evidence matters more than feelings in that regard. Because I think in every country, what you have is you have elections going on, and then you have the losing side being like, oh yeah, the winners cheated. So I feel as long as there's no evidence of tampering with the votes, yeah, I tend to just be like, yeah, democracy. People can just make stupid decisions. It happens. If there's evidence of tampering with the votes, I would definitely demand this to be looked into. But if there's no evidence of tampering with the votes in any sort of a way, I don't know. I'm not really a big conspiracy person when it comes to that.
24, and a meeting is taking place in Paris. It involves some of the most powerful leaders in the world, the majority of whom are European and members of NATO. The meeting has two purposes. One, it gives all in attendance a chance to discuss Russia's recent advancements in Ukraine, particularly the taking of
I genuinely feel it's doable, and I also feel like very often people will make it up. Like, for example, we have a thing here in Croatia where people will make up the idea that like people have been going to vote from the graveyards, you know, like having 170% of votes in the election, shit like that. It's never been a thing. It just hasn't been a thing, really. We did have an attempt recently. There was a referendum, and it was supposed to be collecting votes. I don't know if you remember this. I was really angry about this previously when it came to while COVID was going around. We had a referendum that was against COVID measures, but it wasn't really. It was intended to give the government more power. But it was known in the public as a referendum against COVID measures. But luckily, what would have happened is people, when they went to vote for it, the title of the referendum had to be written in properly, right? You can't write one title and then just change it later. You had to write the exact title of the referendum properly, explaining what it is. So they saw it was a referendum to give the government more power because it was removing powers from bodies intended to protect civilians, which were the bodies that were introducing COVID measures. So the idea was like, instead of having these bodies that are intended to protect civilians introducing COVID measures, they should only be introduced if the leading party wants them introduced, right? But luckily, lots of people did not sign the referendum. Now, people behind this referendum, let's say were not the smartest people in the country, and they tried to cheat their way out of it. And it was discovered rather easily that they were doing this. It was discovered rather easily. Like, they brought the signatures once and it didn't work, and then they brought them a second time and it didn't work again. And now just like nobody talks about the referendum. It just kind of got forgotten, you know what I mean? But in a system that's properly functioning, stuff like this is rather easily controlled. Because you have the evidence that someone is actually checking the damn votes, right? They couldn't just write someone else's signatures and pretend that they got this many. Obviously, the system has worked. Of course, the system has gotten a lot more better recently with... we got some like new number being introduced into the mix. There's a new citizenship number and you have to write that one when you fill out your referendum signatures. So even if someone like knows your first and last name, they are very unlikely to know your secret number. But basically you need to also have this available when it comes to voting. And it's nearly impossible to write someone else's votes in. And still, you have people saying that people from the graveyards came to vote. Even though there's no reason to believe in this, there's been no questionable shit about the votes, right? Like, everything was proper. There's no reason to make up conspiracies about this, but people will still make up conspiracies. And yeah, I think it's basically the same way when it comes to online voting. People just like to make up conspiracies when there is really no reason to do that. There's genuinely no reason to do that shit. Paper election has a lot of people checking everything is okay. But if it's made by their fans, I would rather not vote. Yeah, but then you're imagining that someone is able to hack into the whole system without it being discovered that they hacked into the whole system. Which would require cooperation from several people whose job is to make sure that the system works as intended. I'm absolutely sure this wouldn't be working out, to be honest. Huge erection. Yeah, church bells. I got church bells. I got a church just outside. But yeah, overall, yeah. I don't really think that online voting is as unsafe as people are trying to say it is.
To shore up Ukraine and help it fight back against the advancing Russian troops.
Haven't even shown you my
the meeting
Croatian
is supposed to send a statement of solidarity with Ukraine, serving as a warning to Vladimir Putin that his invasion won't be accepted quietly. France's president, Emmanuel Macron, took both purposes a little too literally. While the rest of NATO members at the meeting tried to balance their responses, he said, "There is no consensus to officially back any ground troops. That said, nothing should be excluded. We will do everything that we can to make sure that Russia does not prevail." In the space of 3 sentences, Macron implied there was a possibility that NATO might send troops to Ukraine, marking a direct military action that it has avoided up to this point. The response was utter confusion among Macron's fellow NATO leaders. Several attempted to backpedal the comments on Macron's behalf, such as Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, who said there would be no NATO ground troops sent to Ukrainian soil.
Sorry, I have to click off. By the way, I don't know if you've been following, but there's been a lot of research published in German newspapers these days. I forgot what's the name of the German newspaper. I'm gonna think of it. About Nord Stream 2 specifically. And the ways that Germany has been trying to push for Nord Stream to actually be introduced, like they knew it was going to be a geopolitical project first of all, because it's going to make our countries reliant on Russian gas. They knew exactly what it was going to be, and they still tried to push it. At one point, there's an email leaked in which they say that they are aware that there's questions in whether this fulfills the regulations. And they're just trying to figure out a way to get the investors to bypass the regulations so it would go through anyways. Like, they were aware of it all the fucking time. I didn't save it for today. We could do a whole Nord Stream 2 thing next stream. Next stream Wednesday, by the way. Next stream Wednesday morning also, because I work afternoon shift this whole fucking week. But yeah, I guess surprising to no one really. I think we all knew about this. I think we all were aware of this. But still an interesting thing to know that has been looked into a bit more deeply recently. I'm still happy about it. I'm just happy that we get to drag them, to be completely honest. Yo, S-300-400 air defense system battery targeted by HIMARS in the Belgorod region of Russia. I can't be lifting wood. I'm already carrying wood inside to get some heating, and it doesn't give me any sort of cash money, to be completely honest. I'm not getting any sort of cash. Okay, fuck this, I ain't reading to this. Ukraine can strike Russian targets with Dutch F-16s based. Though, to be fair, don't know how much you followed that.
The United States sent an
They
equally
can
clear
use
message
Dutch ones,
with the White House National Security
but they can't use
spokesperson
Belgian
pointing
ones.
out that President Joe Biden has been clear that the US will not send troops to
Which
fight
makes
in Ukraine.
no sense.
The small fire that Macron lit should have been extinguished right there. However,
No, it shouldn't
Macron,
have.
rather than walking back his comments under intense pressure from his allies, chose to double down. Just days after the meeting in which he made these remarks, he found himself at the Olympic Village France is building in Paris in preparation for the 2024 Olympics. Quizzed by
Sorry, I was
reporters,
just
he
hearing
told
about them,
them
yeah.
that the Ukraine crisis
When is
was a
it supposed to
sufficiently
start?
serious
Next month?
issue. Every word he said was measured, weighed,
Is
and
it next
thought
month?
through, he said, suggesting that the idea of dragging NATO into Ukraine has been on his mind for a while. That brings us to the two questions we'll answer in this video. Why does France, and Macron in particular, want to enter Ukraine? And perhaps more
What do you
importantly,
think?
will he be able to force NATO into the fight if he chooses to send French troops onto Ukrainian soil? To answer the first
No.
of those questions, we have to delve into France's military history. France has been considered one of the world's most powerful military nations. Napoleonic France, especially, saw the nation reach immense military heights, leading it to briefly ruling over a colonial empire that included large swathes of Africa. Expansion of that colonial empire continued through much of the first half of the 19th century, with France achieving key victories over the Habsburgs and Russia. Then it all started to fall apart. Perhaps overconfident following its latest victories, France appeared to underestimate the threat posed to it by Prussia.
He's
When
saying
the two nations went to
Frenchies
war in
are
1870,
going to
France
follow
was defeated
Napoleon's
in a little
legacy?
over a year, ending any semblance of control it had over
And
Europe,
actually
while
managed to
also
overtake
paving
Moscow.
the way for a united Germany to become one of the continent's major powers. It only got worse for France
Yeah, but
as
like
it entered
Russia
the
has
20th
a
century. World War I
superiority
brought with
right
it
now
another
because
fight
we
with
kept
Germany
Ukraine
and a war that would
under-equipped
lead to
for
France
so
losing
long.
1,397,000
could be tipped
800 soldiers,
in this
along
regard,
with 300,000
especially as Russia has
civilians.
been losing
All told,
quite a lot
France
of their
accounted for
aircraft recently.
25% of the war's
I
deaths,
feel the
second
scales could
only
be
to
tipped,
Russia,
really.
and was weakened even further militarily. When World War II came around, France was quickly overrun by the Nazis, with the country then having to rely on external allies and its own resistance movements to fight back against Nazi rule. It was another costly war. France recorded 217,600 military deaths and a staggering 350,000 civilian deaths. In less than 100 years, France had gone from being one of Europe's most impressive military powers to one of the weakest among the continent's major nations. Despite coming out on the winning side in World War II, France had seen
No one has a
400,000 of its
superiority. Yeah,
buildings
but then with,
destroyed,
like,
with 10
F-16s
times that number
introduced.
being damaged, and was producing just 40% of what it
I
had
think
before
Ukrainians
the
could
war in
have a good
agricultural
chance.
and industrial
I think they
sectors.
could have a good
but there were
chance,
some
really.
bright spots. Despite the damage at home, France had most of its colonial empire intact, at least for a while. Soon it would find itself fighting multiple wars overseas to try and maintain that empire, most of which it lost. It was this series of losses that led to France focusing on rebuilding its army while creating new relationships within Europe. In 1957, it became a founding member of the European Economic Community, which would later evolve into the European Union, or EU, showcasing a desire to build through collaboration. The country was also a founding member of NATO, again setting itself up as a team player in an
How
organization
many are
designed
we
to keep the
getting?
peace. France wished to position itself as a problem solver, a peacekeeper. And to do that, it would have to back that positioning with a stronger military. That brings us to today. According to Global Firepower, France has the world's 11th strongest military. Its army has 200,000 active personnel, with another 26,000 in reserve, and it maintains plentiful stocks of aircraft, naval vessels, and ground-based
Apparently
equipment.
85?
It's also a nuclear nation, one of
you also
only
found
9 in
85,
the world,
nice.
with a stockpile of 290 nukes that make it a clear threat to any other country on the planet. But now you're likely asking yourself what any of this has to do with dragging NATO into the Ukraine war. This brief history highlights how France went through an extended period of military humiliation, only to pull itself back into a position of geopolitical importance. It did that by forming alliances and rebuilding its military, and it did it knowing full well that an aggressive nation that goes unchecked not only presents a threat to the country it invades, but can go on to threaten many more.
So I feel that's
It saw that in World War II, when Germany took Poland and went on to dominate most of Europe before the Allies found a way to fight back. And perhaps Macron is seeing something similar occurring in Russia and Ukraine today. He may see the war as the starting point of something much larger, with his comments about sending NATO troops into Ukraine
but I feel 85
being
is not,
intended to show
it's
that
not
France
nothing.
would fight
You know what I
against
mean?
Russian
It's not
aggression.
nothing.
He may also
It's
have
not
wanted them to
a
serve
small
as a
enough-
reminder
small
to
enough
his NATO
number for us
allies
to be like,
that
"Hey,
fighting
they're not
against
gonna be
such a
able to do
threat
shit."
would require a
Hey,
unified show of
dictator,
force,
how are you
allowing
doing?
him to
How's life?
argue
How's
for
life?
all of NATO to get directly involved in the war. Plus, by being
We
the driving
were
force
solving some
behind NATO
European Union
involvement,
Parliament
Macron would
quizzes.
stand as the first person to suggest direct action
What are we
in
doing
Ukraine.
now?
France
We're
could
watching
emphasize
how
its
France
position
is
as a
gonna push
peacekeeper and gain more
NATO
power
into
on the
doing
geopolitical
something
level.
in Ukraine.
But those reasons are speculative and far from the only possible
And then I have
reasons
to go
behind
to work.
Macron's statements. It's
I
also
gotta
worth
work
pointing out that
in like
France
20
faces
minutes.
plenty
I
of
have to
problems
start
at
driving.
home that could have caused Macron to
Ridiculous.
suggest
Imagine
NATO
having
action
a
in
job.
Ukraine. He's dealing with a nation in crisis over immigration. According to the permanent mission of France to the United Nations in New York, France is currently home to around 700,000 asylum seekers and refugees. It's also a heavy contributor to the Office of the High Commissioner for
European Union?
Refugees,
I'm a supporter of
contributing about
European Union personally.
$100.6 million to the organization, which all
I
again
support
feeds
it. I
into this
think it
image
has
of
done
France as a
quite a
nation
lot.
building itself up through helping and cooperating
And
with
I
others.
think it can
The problem
continue
is that
doing
the country
quite a
has a
lot as long
significant
as, you know,
far-right
we
contingent
vote
that
properly.
opposes such heavy immigration. In January 2024,
'Cause we
Macron
did have a lot
unveiled a
of
controversial bill that was immediately made law
seat
that implements a
fillers,
host of
let's say it like
measures
that,
intended
last
to
time,
curb immigration in the
representing
country.
Croatia.
That bill makes it more difficult
Well,
for
we
those
had
who
seen
move to
it in the
France to bring
parliament.
their family members along with them,
We had
as well
seen
as
it in
limiting
the
access to
parliament
welfare benefits.
recently.
Worse yet,
You
for
know,
immigrants,
people like
any
him.
children they have in France would no longer automatically
It's just a waste of
become
the
French
position and a waste
citizens
of money,
under
really.
jus
So I'm
soli,
hoping
all
this
rights of
year
the
we
soil,
vote
and instead will
better
have to apply
and
for
we
citizenship
vote
at
people
some
who will
point
actually
between the ages
create
of
some sort of
16
a
and
change
18.
in European
The
Union
bill has prompted mass
rather than
protests
sitting
in the
there
streets
being
of
useless.
France, with 16,000 people marching in Paris in the immediate aftermath of its publication, with
F-16 will
75,000 in
be
total
a defensive
protesting
weapon.
nationwide.
Not rush, be
It's
bad.
also worth pointing out that France has taken in fewer Ukrainian
That
refugees than
definitely.
any other nation in the European Union.
I hate
Of
the
the
Union, I
4.3
just think the
million
countries
people who
need
have been
sack.
displaced by the
Apart
war,
from Croatia,
France has
I
only
could see that.
accepted 64,720. That pales in
Pair of
comparison
those
to
glasses?
Germany, which has
Any
welcomed 1.2
store
million
really,
refugees,
any
and
single
Poland
shop
with 1 million.
existing
All told, France
currently. I mean,
welcomes fewer
depending
than
on
one
when you come
Ukrainian
to
refugee
Croatia.
for every 1,000
But currently we're going through a
citizens,
football
compared to
craze.
many EU countries that are
So
welcoming
anywhere, my
25
dude.
for every
Anywhere, you just
1,000.
walk into
What does
any
any of
shop,
this have to do with
supermarket,
France
there's gonna be
and
some
NATO
glasses.
entering
There's gonna be
Ukraine?
glasses. You know what
It
we
shows
had
that France
recently?
is
We had
currently a
those little
divided nation. With his
headbands, and
comments
you
in
have like two
February,
Croatian
Macron may
flags
have
on
been
them.
attempting to distract from the problems the country has
They have
internally,
shit like that. We got
instead
shirts.
shifting the focus
We
away
got
from his
we got
controversial
flags actually, like
policies toward a
humongous
common
flags.
enemy, Russia.
It's really,
Plus,
really
he
cool.
could always make the argument that tackling Russia now would mean France faces less pressure to take in Ukrainian refugees, which
Smart.
would be a win with the far-right elements of his party as far as he's concerned.
Smart.
So we now have two possible reasons for Macron to want to get
Biggest
involved in
fucking
Ukraine.
there
France's
is
history,
possible.
especially in terms of falling victim to
Yeah,
aggressive
glasses
European
are probably
powers,
gonna be
may play a
fine.
role, as could the country's immigration crisis. But there are other issues at play, namely the Wagner Group. That group is an interesting example of how the Russian military works. In addition to the country's main military, it also funds and supports the activities of several mercenary organizations. The Wagner Group is perhaps the foremost of these organizations, with the group technically operating independently of the Russian state. But in reality, it's often used in
Alright.
operations designed to enhance Russia's influence around the
This
world,
is a new
without
video.
Moscow and its military having to get directly involved. Operations like its recent activities in Africa. We mentioned earlier that France used to have a colonial empire that covered much of Africa. Though the nations it controlled are largely independent of France today, many are still influenced by French culture. A large portion of the 700,000 immigrants living in France today come from its former colonies, and there's even a name for the system that France uses to engage with its former colonies, the Francafrique. For decades, Francafrique has enabled Paris to maintain some levels of influence throughout Africa. But thanks to recent actions by the Wagner Group, among others, that influence is on the wane. Take what happened in Mali in May 2022 as an example. For 9 years, France had stationed a military contingent in the country to help it deal with threats of Islamic terrorism and rampant instability. When those troops arrived, France was hailed as the hero that would save Mali. Again, we see France's desired role as the peacekeeper come into play. And for a while, Operation Barkhane, the name France used for its activities in Mali, was a success. France helped to train the Malian army, particularly in the use of air and ground technologies, helping to strengthen the country against the various threats it faced. Unfortunately for France, the Sahel, which is seen as a hotbed of Islamic insurgency, was a problem that it was never able to solve. Since France entered the country, Mali has seen 2.5 million of its citizens displaced, along with thousands of military and civilian casualties. The relationship between France and Mali began to sour in 2020. 2 years later, Macron ordered all 2,400 French troops stationed in the country to withdraw, essentially leaving the Malians to their own devices once more. Except that's not what happened. Instead, the Wagner Group stepped in to fill the vacuum left by the departure of the French soldiers. Universidad de Navarra suggests that Wagner's deployment in the country began in December 2021, 6 months before France's withdrawal. The group quickly established relationships with Mali's military junta, essentially creating Russian influence in a country that was previously supported and influenced by France. But that's not all. In addition to withdrawing troops from the African continent, France has had to deal with a constant campaign of disinformation related to its actions there. For instance, March 2023 saw a video begin circulating on the web that showed armed men storming a gold mine in the Central African Republic, or the CAR, and killing 9 Chinese nationals. In the video, a rebel fighter from the CAR is seen proclaiming that the French want to drive Wagner out of Africa. Alarm bells rang in Paris. The implication from the video was that Paris had ordered the storming of the mine, perhaps intending to use the murders to discredit its Russian rival and strengthen its influence in the CAR once more. It's unlikely that was the case, with Reuters suggesting that the video was part of a concerted campaign of disinformation and Russian propaganda designed to paint France as the villain in the eyes of the wider African population.
At the point.
And it worked.
Yeah, I gotta go to work in 15 minutes approximately.
It's certainly less effective
I'm
today
working
than it
afternoon
was
shift
even a
today.
decade ago. And therein lies another reason why France might want to enter Ukraine. It sees that it's losing influence to Russia. Where the Wagner Group has helped to strengthen Moscow's influence
I knew about
in Africa,
Mali.
the Russian military is looking to do the same in Europe.
You know
If
how
Russia
it is.
takes
I know
Ukraine,
about
then the obvious
countries that
question,
are
at
mentioned
least
in our
Macron's
news.
mind, is who's next. After all,
I
Macron
don't
has seen
know
Russia
exactly
advance
which
in
countries
Ukraine.
have Wagnerites
Though
in
Kyiv
it.
enjoyed some early success in the
But I
war,
have been
aided
reading
by
about
financial
Wagner
backing
crimes
from the
in
West,
Africa.
it managed to
They
push
did
Russian
commit
forces
quite
back
a lot of
and caused
massacres
serious
of
damage to the
civilians.
Black Sea Fleet. It's been capitulating ever since.
So that's rather.
Its counter-offensive in 2023
It would be
ended in
rather
failure,
interesting look
and
into
Russia
it,
has been able to
definitely.
take territory ever since. Avdiivka is a prime example, with the war
Prime
increasingly
example.
looking like it will end in a Russian victory unless Western nations are able to intervene further. Taking Ukraine gives Russia more influence in Europe, and with that influence could come an emboldened Moscow. Next on the agenda, potentially Moldova. Though Moldova works closely with NATO, it's not a member of the organization. As such, Putin won't have to worry about triggering Article 5 of NATO's
Wait, is
charter,
he gonna
as an
mention
invasion
Hungary?
of Moldova wouldn't be a strike at a NATO member nation. But it would allow Russia to push further west, taking another slice of Europe in the process while expanding its influence. Chatham House suggests that Russia is already engaging in many familiar tactics to stir the pot in Moldova. The country's public information spaces are being targeted with disinformation, all designed to eat away at the country's social cohesion. Plus, Moscow is actively backing pro-Russian opposition to Moldova's president, Maia Sandu, with success meaning it could potentially turn Moldova into a proxy state. Chatham House calls this campaign of destabilization Russia's hybrid measures, and there's evidence of it in Moscow's attempts to influence the country's elections. In 2023, Moscow sent around $55 million into Moldova in an effort to buy votes and strengthen the country's pro-Russian groups. Moldova's National Security Service has even accused Russia's oligarchs of getting involved. They believe Moldovan oligarch Ilan Shor paid millions to stage protests in the country to further Moscow's agenda. All of this shows that Russia has a definite interest in controlling Moldova. And if it hasn't been able to achieve its goal through hybrid measures, its next step might be to try and take the country by
They
force.
didn't do enough at all.
It would have to wait until it succeeds in Ukraine, giving itself time to replenish its diminished forces. But once it's ready, it could use Ukraine's border with Moldova as the launching point for a new invasion. After all, Putin knows that NATO won't come to Moldova's defense with anything other than money and equipment. It's proven that in Ukraine already. Macron will also be well aware that many of the tactics Russia is using in Moldova are tactics it's already used against France. We saw that with the video that leaked from the CAR, with that piece of propaganda clearly implying France was responsible for the assault, and it's an issue that Macron increasingly has to deal with at home. According to Matthew Droin, a fellow of the Centre for Strategic and International Studies, France has been a particular target of hybrid attacks, cyber and disinformation recently. This probably helped Macron come to terms with the reality of a more aggressive Russia.
France forcing
Perhaps
NATO
that's what
into the
Macron
war.
means when he says that his comments about sending NATO troops into Ukraine were well thought out. He's already seeing Russia invade France, albeit in a non-traditional way, and he knows Moscow is gradually reducing his country's influence in Africa and Europe. Perhaps he sees this as part of a wider campaign that involves the entirety of NATO. After all, if Putin is so willing to target France, he's likely spreading disinformation and sowing seeds of discontent in other NATO countries. Finally, there's one other issue that could be pushing Macron to want to enter Ukraine: Donald Trump. During his current presidential campaigning, Trump has repeatedly claimed that he would withdraw the US from NATO if the other members don't start paying their way. That's a threat that much of Europe is taking seriously, even if it ultimately proves hollow. As Artin Dersimonian, a research fellow at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft puts it, undoubtedly, concerns about a second Trump presidency have woken Europeans up to the fact that they need to do more for their own defense. He goes on to say that this realization may have given Macron the push he needed to work towards strategic autonomy from the United States. News outlet Al Jazeera appears to agree, claiming that Macron wants to advance a vision of a Europe that doesn't have to rely on Washington to support in defending itself. In that context, perhaps Macron's comments about sending NATO troops into Ukraine weren't directed at every NATO member. Instead, they may have been designed as a wake-up call to the rest of Europe about the need to present a stronger united front against an increasingly aggressive Russia. After all, the US may be Russia's biggest rival, but it's Europe that has to deal with Putin in its backyard. All of this leads us to a final question. Is it possible that France could actually force NATO into the war in Ukraine? If you listen to Macron's fellow NATO members, the answer is a categorical no. As we pointed out at the beginning of the video, most of France's compatriots were quick to distance themselves from Macron's remarks. Germany's Chancellor and the United States were joined in their denials that a NATO presence in Ukraine is a viable option by the UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. He said that Britain has no plans to engage in a large-scale military deployment in Ukraine, instead limiting itself to the people it has stationed there to help train Ukrainian soldiers.
I think
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was equally quick to issue a denial, with NATO Secretary
if
General
USA
Jens
went balls
Stoltenberg
deep into
also
the
denying that
situation,
sending
this
troops
war would
into
be over
Ukraine was a
immediately.
consideration.
I feel USA doesn't
Ukraine
want
isn't
to
a NATO member, so why should
actually
it
do
receive
something,
that level of support?
which is
Russia,
what's
for its
creating the
part, had a
problem.
field day with Macron's comments.
Not about USA
Soon
not
after they
being
were made,
able to afford
Kremlin
this, but more so
spokesperson
USA
Dmitry
not
Peskov was quick to point out that any
wanting,
such action would lead to a
not
direct
having
conflict
the,
between Russia and NATO. In that case, he said, we would need to talk
political
not
will
about the probability,
to
but
afford
about
it.
the inevitability of direct conflict. The counter-threat was issued. And a month later, in March 2024, President Vladimir Putin made it clear that Russia had
but it
no
wouldn't need
intention
to be
to start a
lasting
war with
another
NATO.
100 years,
Speaking
though.
to Russian military pilots during a visit to one of the country's
I
air
don't think-
bases, he claimed that any
I don't
statements
think
made about
defeating
Russia's
Russia
intentions
would
to
come with
attack
that.
any other country
Rishi
in
Sunak
Europe
will be gone
after it
soon.
wins
Yeah,
in Ukraine
he's gonna be
were
gone
sheer
soon.
nonsense.
I have
He called
heard
the very
that the
concept of
alternatives
Russia
are
going to war
rather
with NATO
good for Ukraine
ravings,
anyways.
in what was clearly a non-too-subtle dig
So,
at Macron.
yeah, we'll see that.
Putin used Macron's statements to undermine France's president,
Oh, no,
just as
Trump,
France
when
believes he's
people say
using
Trump's going to
cyber and
start
disinformation campaigns
World War
to
III, they were
undermine
talking about
France
him
itself.
talking about
Still,
disbanding
should
NATO.
France choose to go it alone, would it be able to drag
There was a
any of
real
its NATO
danger that he
allies
is going
into
to
the
try to
conflict along
disband
with it?
NATO, and
That
then
question is more difficult to
if NATO
answer.
countries are not
Macron may hope
protected
that his
anymore
NATO
because we will
allies
not
would
have
apply
the
Article 5 of the NATO
security
Charter
agreement,
to the situation.
there is
However,
a
they
big
wouldn't have
possibility
to.
of an
Article
actual
5
World War
only
II
covers
World War
attacks
III
on NATO
starting.
allies on
So
their
yeah,
home
Trump
soil.
is a big
France
danger when it
entering
comes to that.
Ukraine and subsequently being attacked doesn't fit that description.
But overall,
Macron would be
the
hoping that his
person,
allies would
realistically,
simply
the person
support
who's
his
going to
actions
start it is
rather
going to
than
be
being guaranteed
Putin.
their support. So where does all of this leave France in the context of the Ukraine crisis? Macron clearly believes that now is the time to involve NATO directly in the war. He wouldn't have raised the possibility if he didn't.
percentage
He
of
may see
GDP,
Russia's increasing
US is still
aggression
giving a
as
very
an
low
early
amount.
sign
Yeah.
that it has
Like, I'm
ambitions
feeling
to
USA
take
can
control of
definitely
other
afford
European
it.
countries, such as Moldova, and may even believe that the crisis in Ukraine is
I'm
simply
genuinely
the
feeling
precursor for a
USA
wider
can
war that could
easily
engulf all
afford
of
this,
Europe.
but
To
it
Macron,
doesn't
NATO
want
has to nip that
which
possibility
doesn't
in
really
the
change
bud
the
now
fact that
by
we should
asserting
be
its dominance in the
self-reliant in
region
this question.
and pushing Russia out of Ukraine.
I just think it's
But there's also
important
some
to know that
self-interest at play here. France has increasingly
we're
found
not
itself
getting
the victim
USA
of hybrid
support
attacks
because
by
of a
Russia,
lack of
with
political
Macron
will
himself
and not because
having
of
been
lack of
undermined by
resources
Putin
in
the wake of
USA.
his comments. It's also seeing Russia's influence grow in Africa as France's wanes, giving Macron a geopolitical reason to want to quell Putin's ambitions. Plus, focusing his nation on war would help to distract from other issues, such as immigration,
Saying
that
Biden
are causing
happened to be
divides in
president doesn't mean
France,
shit.
into which
No,
Russia's
definitely, because,
disinformation campaigns could feed.
Because
Whatever
this
the
is
case
a
may
war
be,
that
Macron would
has
have to do a
been
lot more than simply send French troops
going
into
on
Ukraine
for way
to convince his
longer than
NATO allies that they need to
2022,
send troops of their own.
right?
And that's where we turn the
Like
questions over to
you
you.
could
Do you believe that
blame
NATO will
Obama
ever enter Ukraine, as
for
Macron suggests
allowing
they
the
should?
invasion on
How
Crimea.
much of a threat, if any,
But
do
then
you
also
feel
what?
Russia
Do we
will
go
pose
even
to the rest
further
of Europe
back?
if it
Do we
wins
go
the
to
war in Ukraine?
2008 for
And do you
allowing the
believe
invasion
Macron's
on
fears
Georgia?
of an ever-strengthening Russia are well-founded?
I don't
Tell
feel
us
you
what you
can
think in the comments,
exactly
and thank you for
pinpoint
watching
what
the video.
started
Now go and check out why
this
France
war,
is
and if
preparing
World
for
War
all-out
III
war.
starts, I
Or
don't
click
know
this
if
other
you'll be
video
able
instead.
to pinpoint exactly where the start of it is, but also I don't know if it would be correct to say that the start of it would be, you know, precisely because of Biden. I'm not feeling that would be true. Americans are sick of having their standard of living drop over the last 50 years. Could say that. Could say that. Could say that. But like it's gonna drop even further if Ukraine loses. So I don't know. I don't know why we're doing this. It's gonna get even worse. So you know, you want it to stay the way it is, maybe you wanna be helping. How? Because USA entire trade with Europe is going to go down the drain. It's gonna go completely down the drain. Peace benefits both us and Americans. If there's no peace, if we have a war economy, our trade with USA is gonna go to fucking down. And not even that, the amount of refugees incoming, is gonna crush it even further. It's what happened with Yugoslavia. 1990s Yugoslavia is at war, and a bunch of countries around are like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine if Yugoslavia crumbles, you know? Like, we don't have to get involved. Surely we can just ignore it and let Serbia take over rulership. I mean, it's just gonna be a quick little war. That's that, right? No, bitch. Overnight, thousands of refugees in your cities. The fuck do you do? Thousands of refugees, and you have to take them in and you have to take care of them, immediately having a humongous impact on your economy. Because surprise, surprise, people don't really want to die in wars, and they would very much rather run away. So you're gonna be seeing the pressure from the refugees, from the number of refugees created, and then also you're going to be seeing a huge pressure just from the trade relationship with Europe crumbling down. Definitely, if you want the country to be having a stable economy, you don't want to be if you want your country to be having a strong economy, you don't want the trade relationship with other countries to crumble. So yeah. Oh yeah, European Union and USA are rather strong trading partners, definitely. So it's not like they fully depend on us, but we are a big part of their trade relationship. Europe can't meet 2% minimum, and if the US doesn't subsidize European defense, then everything will be America's fault. Then everything will be America's fault. I'm not saying everything, but their lack of participation will be their fault, yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Because we can talk about what USA should be able to do and what Germany should be able to do, sure. But also there's just the realistic situation where USA right now can supply a lot more than what it is supplying. It can supply a lot more, all right? And by choosing not to supply, yeah, they are making a choice that in a situation, if we enter a war, it is going to be a choice that is going to be pointed out as one of the reasons why maybe certain European countries fell. Yeah. Also true, many European Union countries are well above 2%. Talking about countries specifically close to Russia, they do go above 2%. So what we're talking about is Western Europe mostly lacking, while Eastern Europe mostly understands the danger. Poland step the fuck up, yeah. That too. But yeah, overall, genuinely, like a country refusing to participate is going to be blamed for refusing to participate, even especially when it's a country that can afford to participate. When it comes to goods, that's when China comes into play. True. Even then, like European Union is still a nice part of the market, but blame Western Europe? No, I don't see why you wouldn't just blame everyone who is lacking. I don't see why you would be like, oh yeah, don't blame USA, blame these countries specifically, when USA is also lacking. You can just blame all of them. You can just blame all countries for lacking. Western Europe, biggest free riders on the planet? True, definitely true. Not just free riders. I would say some of them, like Germany specifically under Merkel, I would say they specifically were traitors. I don't even think what they were doing was like neutrality to the point of uselessness. I think Germany under Merkel was genuinely harmful to Europe as a whole. And I think she knew about it. I think she was aware of this all the time. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was signing. She chose to sign it anyways. But yeah, I feel in the way we would blame them, we would also be blaming USA. So yeah, I don't really see the need to make distinction between, you know, these countries that are failing just because the conversation happens to be just because you want to like make the conversation rely on continental divides. I don't really think that would make a lot of sense. USA does have a strong ability. USA did sign the Budapest Memorandum. Merkel and the like absolutely believes things like trade with Russia would promote peace. You see, I kind of disagree with that. I've been kind of disagreeing with that, mostly because they already invaded Georgia. I don't know if they could have been so stupid. Like, the invasion on Georgia has already happened, right? How can you still be trying to say that you genuinely believe Russia's gonna be more peaceful if you trade with it when the invasion on Georgia happened? What that reminds me of is that what's the word? Review of Russian invasion on Georgia made by it was like an independent investigation. I think it was lodged by European Union specifically, and I highly suggest you read the report because the report is deeply insulting. It's deeply insulting, genuinely. What it does is, at one point, for example, you have it saying, oh yeah, Georgia has been saying that Russia is attempting to send soldiers in it. We haven't really seen evidence of that. And then immediately, next article of the review is, oh yeah, so before the first shot was fired by Georgia, Russia was sending militants into Georgia, sending weapons to these militants, putting military on the border with Georgia, right? It's like all of these things that Russia has been doing, invading directly, sending soldiers in, exactly the same thing they did with Ukraine. But like just previously, the report goes, oh no, we didn't see Russia invading, actually, we didn't see them do that. I think it was like willful playing into the hands of Russia. I don't even think it was ignorance. I don't think they didn't know. I think they knew. And I think they chose to word it in this very specific way. The report is full of it, so genuinely, like, go and read it. I suggest you go and read it. the report is full of these inconsistencies. When they say Russia didn't do this, both sides are guilty, and then they show clearly how Russia is guilty. They go like, oh yeah, Russia presented the like reasonings why they had to go and get involved into the situation in Georgia, and it's because there was a genocide happening against Russian civilians who were inside Georgia. And then immediately later they go, oh yeah, we never managed to prove that. We never managed to prove that shit. We never actually. There was no reason to believe that there was a genocide of Russian civilians in areas of Georgia because like there was nothing going on. Just there's no evidence of it. They just lied. But just previously they presented it as one of the reasons as to why Russian actions can be seen as understandable. I know you can find it. You can Google it. Google it, go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia gives you the links to download. There's 3 editions, I believe. And yeah, the easiest way to get them is from Wikipedia. Because if you read news reports on this, and I have to leave for my work soon, by the way. But let me tell you, if you read news reports on this, they do not link the damn thing. I have found maybe 2 news sources that when they talk about it, they actually link the damn thing. And I feel it's because they know that they're lying. Europe was told to prep to war? No, we weren't really told to prep for war, no. We didn't have it. I don't even know how it's called. I don't even know how it's called. Statement. Ah! This one. Now I need to find the name of it. Before I have to go. Or I'm gonna be sending it to you guys on Discord. Okay, here. English. I know I need English. Shut the fuck up. Aftermath reactions. No. EU report. This one. I'm gonna give you a link to this one. And then I'm running because I actually have to run genuinely. So yeah, I'll be seeing you next stream. We'll be seeing you next stream. We'll be seeing you on Wednesday. So yeah, if you read anything and if you figure out something interesting, let me know. I genuinely have to go. I have to start running in a second. So stay strong, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Good luck. If France enters Ukraine on June 6th, I would be very happy to see that, but I very much doubt that is true.